Hello everybody, welcome back to yet another iteration of the cooking streams. I am of course Starter, coming to you live from the comforts and warmth of my own home. I hope everybody has been having a lovely Sunday afternoon. It's good to see all of you again. Liam, of course, as always. Hello AZ, hello Elo as well. Hello. I'm excited. I'm quite excited for today. Today is going to be a pretty delicious chili that we're having. So, this is something that I have been doing for quite some time. This is something that I've been developing for quite some time regarding my technique and methodology on, not as much recipes and ratios and proportions, but we're going to give this thing a lot of love. It's going to be a really exciting chili today. There's a lot of theory that goes into this. There's a lot of intentionality that goes into this. And this is not going to be your average standard chili. The camera quality, thank you. I try my best. House Flipper and Dollar Stream's perfect Sunday evening. I don't know what House Flipper is, but I'm glad that I can provide to the Sunday ambiance. So, I'm really excited about today's chili because there's a lot of things that I'm doing that are contrary to the very popular notions of what a chili is supposed to be, and sort of returning to its origins, right? And really focusing on the flavors that actually matter in something like this. Cool Amori shirt? Well, why, thank you, Captain Aspie. Really appreciate it. I love Amori. So, I guess for starters, the most important component in chili, okay, that everybody forgets about, I'm actually just going to pick this up and show you in front of me right now, okay? This. Look at this. Look what's in my hands. Look, I want you to look. You know what this is? Whole dried chilies. These are, I believe, pasillas or guajillos. I keep mixing the two of them up. I forgot which one I got. It doesn't actually matter that much. We also have some anchos and we also have some arbol. Okay? This is where the heart and soul of chili is at. Okay? Because chili powder is a completely unidentifiable ingredient that you have in your cupboard. You have a container of chili powder and you have no idea from what chili it originated. You have no idea what actually went into it. It barely tastes like anything. Okay, all of these chilies that you're seeing right here in front of you, all of them bring something else to the table. They all smell wildly different. They smell almost like raisins. These are really fruity. These are really nice. They'll add a lot of complexity. These, super smoky. These smell like a campfire. And the arbols are gonna bring really nice heat as well. Okay? This is the heart and soul of what a proper chili is supposed to be. And that is why chili powder is not a component in this at all. Okay? A $5 little canister of mysterious chilies that have been sitting there ground up for God knows how long, completely flavorless, nothing to say, rather than using this beautiful blend of whole dried chilies, and I'll show you guys how to actually implement them in the chili today. Now, next thing that I'm doing, that's going to be a little bit different, okay? We are not doing a ground meat chili. We're going to be doing a braised chili. You see this meat? We have, of course, here a nice little chunk of chuck, and then some short ribs as well. Okay? So, the reason I like starting from whole meat rather than ground meat is very simple. How many times have you guys read a recipe that has told you, oh, we're going to brown some ground meat. We're going to put it in, we're going to brown it. And then it just immediately leaches water, and then it's gray, and then it's boiling in its own liquid, and then you have to evaporate it to release the fat, and it's a whole process. Okay? When you start from big chunks of meat like that, you're able to actually get a proper sear on it. You're able to get some proper color on it, okay? Without it actually expelling all of its liquid, you're able to really develop that flavor that way. Because of the small granular texture of ground meat, as soon as it hits the heat, and you're mixing it, and you're mashing it, and you're making sure it doesn't stick to itself, the meat, the proteins immediately seizes up, okay? It cooks so quickly that it expels all of its liquid before any browning can be formed. Because browning is the result of both heat and time, okay? And there is almost no time, but the meat cooks quick enough that it expels all of its liquid and you're not able to get any color in. So that's why we start with whole chunks of meat and we'll braise it down and then we'll shred it up into the chili, okay? So, pretty important stuff. We just covered a lot. That's why I like doing whole chunks of meat for chili like this. Or you can do like a hand-chopped meat. That'd be also really nice. But you need like a super high heat to actually get any color on it. Or if the ground meat already ends up releasing its liquid, what you have to do is boil out the liquid and wait for it to release its fat, and then it will fry in its own fat. In this case, we're gonna sear those chunks, we're gonna then chop it up, and then put it into the rest of everything that we have. Now, as for the other chili components that we have right here with us, we have 3 tomatoes. Tomatoes are not a main component in chili, okay? They are supposed to be secondary to the chilies. They're supposed to be secondary to the meat flavor. The number one thing that people make a mistake of when they make chili is they dump 30 different containers of tomatoes inside, and then it just tastes like a tomato sauce with cumin in it, okay? The tomatoes are just supposed to taste them a little bit. It's supposed to help thicken everything. Those are pretty big. We might end up only using 2 of them, in fact. But that's why I'm not doing an entire can of tomatoes and then tomato paste and everything. We're not doing all that, okay? We have whole spices. We have whole coriander seeds. We have whole cumin seeds. We have oregano as well. Darla, your hands are small. They are not, okay? They are not at all. So, pretty exciting stuff that we have here. And then also, by the way, you know what I have in here? Last night, I made a bunch of beans. That's right. I made a bunch of beautiful beans. Look at that. With cumin, with oregano, with some chilies as well, with some garlic and onion. Look at these beans. These are gonna be perfect. You can use canned beans if you really want to, if you really have to, but these are already very flavorful and a lot cheaper. I made an entire pound of dried beans, cooked it up, and it's all gonna go into today's chili. And so, we'll do also cilantro, lime, rice as well, which will be quite nice with the chili. And we also have the pickled onions that we did on Friday's stream that will be a nice little garnish. It's going to be a beautiful day. It's going to be chili day. Can you eat chili with nuggets? Well, you can do anything. Should you? That's a different question entirely. So my friends, let's head on over to the cutting board. Let's get stuff going. So, cutting board once again. We have a wet paper towel under it so it keeps it nice and steady, so it doesn't slide around as we cut it, because that will be extremely uncomfortable. And so here's what we have to do. First up, we have to chop up our aromatics. We have the bell peppers, which again, not necessarily a component at all. I just happen to like bell peppers in the chili. We have the onions, and we have the jalapeno as well. So let's just get that going. So let's talk about cutting up a bell pepper. I showed this off last time when we did the red beans and rice, which came out beautifully, and I'll show it to you guys again. Always have your waste bowl and your transfer bowl ready. You want to have both of them ready to go. So, knife. What you're going to do, you're going to start by shaving down the sides, okay? You're going to shave down the sides just like this, and that way you keep all of the white, all of the core, all the seeds inside, just like so. And then this one we're going to have to get a little funny with. Perfect. And then this last one right here. This one I kind of messed up on. We're going to have to actually just go back in here and remove it like this. Come on, you got it. Good boy. Sweet. Just like that. Get the white of it out, get the seeds out, and then we'll just be left with, of course, all of our shaved sides that we can then cut into sticks and then cube up. So I don't want massive pieces in my chili, okay? I want everything to be roughly the same size as the meat once it cooks and shreds down, okay? So keep that in mind as you're going. For some things, if you're doing like a puree, you don't really have to be too mindful about the size of your aromatics. In this case, I think it would be quite nice for us to have them pretty small cubes. Okay, so next step, we're gonna stack them up. Maybe just 2 stacks at a time because they get pretty high up. And then all that we're going to do, we're now just going to cut this into sticks, just like so. And guys, by the way, nice little general rule of prep, okay? It's really, really nice to get all of the same action done at once. For example, I didn't take the whole green pepper and then shave down the sides and then do the matchsticks and then into the batons, into the pieces themselves. I'm going one by one. I had to get all of the sides shaved down. I had to get all of the sides cut into sticks, and then I'm going to cut all of it into the pieces itself. And that way, you just get to be as efficient as possible with your motions. Right? You're just doing it all at once like this. I think so, maybe. You don't necessarily have to do this and it's ingredient dependent, but it's nice to just get all this done at once. And then you can push it to the side and then you're doing one motion. So you're not going shave down the sides and then cut it into pieces and then go back to shaving down the sides. We're just doing it all at once as needed, okay? It's the way I learned to do it in restaurants whenever we would have like a lot of bulk to prep at once. And it's the most efficient, especially if you're working with a high volume. This isn't that high of a volume, right? These are only just like a couple bell peppers that we have here. And I like the green ones because they're nice and vegetal. Okay, let's make a bunch of space on our cutting board so that we can then just go at this one bundle at a time. I'm going to slap on a glove because even if it's just a bell pepper, it is a little wet in my hands, right? I have eczema. I'm trying to be nice and gentle to my paws when I can help it. Okay. And then we'll chop up some onion and the jalapeno as well. And the jalapeno, I just threw in there because why not? You really don't have to. Can you smell? I don't know what that's a reference to. Also, hello, Daramgar. Welcome. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. So, guys, once again, bundle it all up, just like this. You're going to square it off right here. So you have a nice flat line when you start going at it. And cut through it all. Nice gentle claw to hold it all together. Okay, nothing too crazy. Nice and gentle. Just like this. Is it? I know nothing about the WWE. So, once again, this isn't a super tiny dice. This is a small to medium diced bell pepper that we have here. Okay? So I feel like my GoPro glitches a lot. I should change this camera. I don't like having a GoPro as a webcam. I thought it was a good idea at the time, but that's gonna be the next thing that I'll just upgrade. Okay. So, next step. Just like so. Get it all bundled up. Just go through it all, take your time, enjoy the process. And then we have this piece that ended up straying off. This doesn't have to be too perfect, but we're being mindful of the sizes. Yes, this is indeed, oh, such a good question, yeah. You, without a doubt, need a bench scraper. Yeah, because I'm doing it for live recording too, right? To do like live broadcast, and I don't think that's actually too optimal. I wonder if it would do better with a capture card rather than using it as a webcam. Because if you do the processing on a different device, it might actually just clean up its frame rate. That might actually be a better investment. They are absolutely the best. Guys, also, don't try to chop too much at once because then you're going to get a mess. The most unpleasant thing is when food starts spilling off of your cutting board, and that's why I'm doing it in little batches like this, okay? If you have a big cutting board, you're able to, of course, have more at once, as well as if you have like a bigger knife, but the things that don't scale are your hands. And so, keeping it nice and managed, keeping it nice and under control, nothing is spilling off, we're not making a mess, we're going nice and slow. Slice all the way through. You want to work in a real kitchen? I feel like a lot of people say that. You got to try it out and then you'll see how you like it. Because that is not my ideal working environment. I want to work with food. I don't want to work with food in a restaurant setting because that was deeply unsatisfying to me. I learned a lot, but it's not what I want to do with myself. But you work at a fried chicken place, not really cooking? Gotcha. But here's the thing. No matter what place you're working at, you're not necessarily really cooking either, right? If you're starting as like a prep cook at a really nice restaurant, you're actually just doing a lot of prep work, or you're only doing 1 to 2 dishes in a day. Or if you're working on a line, you're kind of reheating half the stuff, and then if it's like a seared protein like a steak, then you'd be cooking that. But it's a lot of iteration and repetition is what it is. So try it. You can of course try it, right? You don't necessarily need qualifications for most restaurants to get into. It's like a prep cooker or whatever, and some of them are willing to like teach as well, right? But it is not for everybody. That is what anybody that's worked in food service will tell you. Okay, so 2 bell peppers have now been fully chopped up. Let's head on over to the jalapeno dimension. So, cut the head off. Slice this bad boy in half, and then we'll cut it into quarters as well. And the reason, actually, we can probably just pick this off as it is now. Yeah, it's easier when you cut into quarters, honestly. Okay, just like that. And then this just plucks out so much easier because you're able to get a bit of leverage inside. You had an IRL cooking show panel. You know what? Also, first of all, lovely to see you. I think I should just do that for next year. That'd be really fun to do next year. Because I know they do a food and drink panel, if I'm not mistaken. That's actually a very tangible and feasible goal. That'd be very fun to do. Also, hope you're doing well. Okay. Get all of those out. Boop, perfect. Next, you don't have to remove all the seeds, right? It'll be fine no matter what you do. The jalapenos we'll do a little bit smaller so that it evenly incorporates throughout the chili. Why do people pursue that line of work? Good question. So, for some people, it is just truly a labor of love, right? This is the thing that they love doing. Some of them got into it because it's a family business. You haven't seen me in forever, you're absolutely right. Thank you. Yeah, I'm just trying to be able to do this as much as I can. RNG didn't work out because of some personal stuff, but so for a lot of people, it's a labor of love, whether they got into it because of their family or whatever. Some people, here's the thing, there's actually a very real connection between like felony records, and actually being able to get hired for a job. And this is one of those that you can get pretty much hired without like, no matter your record. And it's pretty messed up that it is as difficult as possible for like previous offenders to like get jobs in like other places, right? That's one of the reasons why the restaurant industry can be quite notorious for its high, like felony rate or, a lot of drug usage especially. But that also has to do with the really harsh working conditions. So it's a very like self-eating loop. And then on top of that, I'm trying to think, there's a couple of other reasons. It's accessible. Like it's one of those things, it will always be needed, right? There's so many restaurants, especially in big cities, and they will always need work. Maybe not necessarily like a head chef position, but there's always new restaurants, there's always, something. So it's something that is constantly in need of jobs. And that's what. It's accessible, and it's something that is always going to be around. And for some, they just love doing it that much. And they want to actually go down this line and to be able to operate a restaurant, then you kind of have to, if you're not going from like the business perspective, the entrepreneur angle, right? Crazy, that's also my dream. Wow, you guys synced up. Okay, jalapenos were chopped. And now it's time for us to chop the onion as well. Oh, my septum piercing is 3 years old already. I got this almost 3 years ago, and it's been just great. It's been good. It's fine. It's fine. Do it. Do it. Do it. I recommend doing it. You're thinking about it, do it. It's not that big of a deal. Trust me. Sometimes you'll need to do like a saline soak and stuff. I like it. I like my septum. It's been an excellent decision. Do it. That's my advice to you right now. Okay, so once again, we're cutting up onions, my friends. So first off, we cut off the head. And the reason we cut off the head and not the root, so we can keep the whole thing intact. The onions, we basically want to melt into the chili. The skin is actually developing a few layers deeper than normal. This might be a pretty old onion, and I might need an extra one. Kind of annoying. Yeah, no, look at that. That green is a good indication that the onion is a little old, to my understanding. But we can also just peel that off, and it's fine. Okay, sweet. We can also use a bench scraper to clean off our station, especially with any stuck bits, right? Like onion skin. Oh, I used to have a bridge piercing, yeah. I used to have a bridge piercing, and it's now long removed. Because it was rejecting pretty badly. Yeah, it was not a pretty sight at all. People saw that thing and they were like, Jesus Christ, get that thing off your face. And it was a good decision that I got it out. And now I have a pretty permanent scar there because it was in pretty bad shape. Hello. Oh my God, is that my little Luke champ? Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's good to see you. Okay. So, we got our onion halves prepped. We're going to save about a quarter of this because this we're going to use for the garnish a little later on. So we're going to keep some of it totally raw. We're going to have both raw onion and pickled onion as a garnish because I think it'll be nice. So we'll set that aside. And now all that we're going to do, we're going to get a pretty small dice. We're not going to get a mince or anything out of it. Right? We're just doing a small dice here. Make your incisions, and then you're going to go along the onion just like so. Perfect. Just like this. Okay? You want the onions to melt into the chili. Hence why I think it's pretty important for us to get this small of a cut. Okay. And we're just gonna go through all the onions. That's it. My station's a little dirty, has some onion skin on it. We'll get rid of all that. Make quick work of it. Okay, next. I love piercings, and I highly recommend anybody get them that's been interested in them. And if you don't like it, you can always take it out with the right guidance. You can't take it out like in any part of the healing process, but it's just good stuff. Okay. Sweet. That's all chopped up. Gather that around. Into the bowl it goes. Because we're going to cook all of these at the same time, right? We don't need to necessarily separate these. We'll keep them in different containers because they'll all go in at once. So it's nice to organize ingredients in that way. It might seem a little bit obvious, but some people, they get really obsessed with their mise en place, that they have like one container for everything. And in this case, those will all be sweated down at approximately the same time. And so the order of operations for this is going to be as follows. We're actually just going to start with everything going into the Dutch oven, and then we'll finish it in the pressure cooker because the beans that I have are already cooked. They need to kind of go into the Dutch oven. The tomatoes I'm not going to pressure cook. I'm just going to have those slowly cook down a little bit to keep some of the freshness. That's the goal that I have at the moment. Okay. Only kept the tongue piercing. Worth it? Yeah, that's right. If you ever get tired of it, you can always swap it out. And there's a lot of customization for jewelry, right? So I really do recommend it sometimes. So once again, we're going through all the incisions. We're not cutting all the way through to the end of the root of the onion. Kind of knives. This is my Quillen Damascus Petty. Damascus is kind of cringe, but I really just like the shape and the build of the knife. I got it from my favorite knife store, Quillen. It's pretty good stuff. And then the other one that I have is my Mizuno UX10 Gyudo. It's pretty cool. That's my Gyudo knife. That's for bigger things. I don't even think we'll necessarily need it. We're doing pretty small prep. So you want a knife that is suited to the size and the shape of everything that you're doing. Okay, that's all chopped up. We got that taken care of. And now we're gonna have to do the garlic, right? Put that through a garlic press because we're able to just get it super, super fine and use less garlic that way. It's pretty efficient because the garlic gets much more intense and pungent, right, the more finely you mince it. And if you crush it like that, it's just going to be so volatile that you don't need like a million cloves, right? That you can get away with like 5 or 6 or something like this. Okay, so that's this batch of aromatics. That's all done. Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's not the best knife material because it's a little bit of a meme. It doesn't actually hold the edge nearly as well as a carbon steel does, just like a straight carbon steel that wasn't folded in, but it's fine, right? It gets the job done. Okay, so I believe the other thing that we have to prep is gonna be the garlic. And then we'll focus on the chilies and stuff. We'll have to focus on the chilies, and then we gotta chop the meat, and then we gotta sear stuff. So, onions have been cut, the bell pepper has been cut, the jalapeno has been cut, and now we're gonna deal with the garlic. So, getting rid of all the super papery skins that would otherwise just stick. We're gonna get a few more garlic cloves, actually, because that was not enough for me. We'll do like a total of 5. We'll do 5 cloves. Oh, that's actually all of this. Sick. Neat. In fact, 6. It'll be fine. It's hard to have too much garlic in a chili. Okay, sweet. Now, let's get my garlic press. Where is she at? Where is she at? Actually, I don't know where it's at. Am I crazy? Ah, there it is. And we'll get a little container for it as well. And now, we'll go ahead and put this through. Yeah, we're making a chili. It's all gonna cook down. It's hard for this to actually become overpowering in any way. So here's what's gonna happen. Take this, crush it down so that we can then peel it. We'll crush all of these at once, just like this. Okay, sweet. Then we're gonna go back here. We're gonna peel every single clove that we have. Guys, because we're making a whole pot of chili. It's gonna have a lot of meat, it's gonna have a lot of aromatics, it's gonna have a bunch of stock in it, okay? Yes, I like doing this with my bench scraper instead of my knives because I just feel more comfortable putting a lot of leverage on that, right? Because that's just like a straight piece of stainless steel and not like a nice one, right? You don't have to like really worry about cutting yourself if your hand accidentally slips. And that's why I do it with this, especially because I'm not then using my knife to chop it. It's all going in the garlic press. So it all works out the way it needs to. Okay, and now I like to cut off the butt end of the garlic as well. You don't have to. I know a lot of people who don't. I just think it's a nice step because it's kind of dried out at the bottom. Don't have to waste too much of it. Just going in like that. Just like this. Okay. Yeah, anything that you can use a lot of like flat leverage for, it's nice, right? And I don't use my knife for that. Okay. Because look at this, it's gonna be awkward. I have to watch out for like the edge with my hand. And so I've just preferred using my bench scraper. So into the garlic press it goes. I know a lot of people are garlic press haters, but not me. In recent time, I've just been using it constantly. One. Gets the job done. 2, 3, 4. It's also a pretty satisfying sound. 5 and 6. It is. It's just pushing it all through. And then this, you're gonna have to feed it back into itself to make sure it all gets processed properly, which is a little annoying. I think a nicer one wouldn't actually have that as an issue. It might just be the one that I have. You know what? It's actually fine. We don't need to get too crazy with this process. It's all gonna cook down anyways. It's all gonna be fine. It doesn't have to be perfect, okay? As long as there's no big, massive chunks, then we'll be okay. Okay, sweet. That is now effectively done. Get all the garlic out, and that is gonna go into the chili. Yeah, well, look at this. My cutting blade is not sticky, right? I've minimized how much stickiness is on my hands. I could have done a better job by just simply using gloves or something. But it is, to me, a very nice quality of life bonus, okay? I got it done pretty fast. You don't have to fucking scrape the cutting blade with salt or anything. You don't have to do anything crazy. I don't mind, so as long as I'm doing it while I cook, right? If you're constantly putting things into the dishwasher and you make sure you have an empty, clean dishwasher. If I didn't have a dishwasher, I think I would hate it like infinitely times more. Okay, so that is all the first batch of prep that we did. Then the next step is gonna be toasting up the spices and making the chili paste itself. And then we're gonna actually chop up the meat. You know what? It's fine. We'll do the meat first. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and grab some gloves, again, that I have right here. Where are they at? Okay, sweet. What, you mean like the garlic? It's just that it's sticky. I don't mind the smell as much as I do like the sensation of like sticky garlic, and then I have to wash my hands off and everything. All right, let's get the meat going, and the gloves are just so I don't have to wash my hands after. Not for any sanitary reasons, really. Nothing crazy. Okay. If I could actually get it on properly, that'd be pretty cool. I was putting it on backwards. Ugh. I could do it like a doctor, right? Where they blow into it and then they put it in. Yes. Oh, absolutely. Yes, without a doubt. That makes it pretty unfun. Okay, my friends. So, look at all this meat. We gotta chop this up into some more manageable pieces. Okay? And it's all gonna just chill out on the sheet tray in the meantime as well, and make my life a lot easier. So once it comes off, it'll also go back onto the sheet tray. We don't have to worry about cross-contamination or anything. It's all gonna go in the pressure cooker after, okay? I'm just gonna get some other stuff out of the way so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, first up, let's worry about the chuck that we have here, my friends. So, as for the chuck, I think I don't wanna use all of it. That's the conclusion I've come to. I can use basically half of it, right? I think that should be more than fine. We can do something like, yeah, that would be like a good amount, I think, for the chili. Just like this. And then this, I'm going to figure out what to do with later. Or we could just cook this for today, because the bone's going to pop out anyways. We'll cook up this one today. It'll be fine. Sweet. And this, I'm going to save for another usage. Next, my short ribs. All the bones are going to pop out, right? In the pressure cooker, it's all going to get really, really nice and tender. And so right now, all I'm going to do is I'm going to just cut these ribs individually so we can get a nice proper seal on them. When I get the knife, this is from corn. Look at all this meat. Oh, it's going to be perfect. So I did this so that we can actually get a nice seal on this side, okay? It'll be a little bit more manageable for us. And the beauty, by the way, of us using whole pieces of meat is that we can actually get good color and we can actually get good browning on it without needing to worry about, like ground meat, for instance, expelling all of its liquid. It would have been a mess. Okay, getting all this out here. Grab this bad boy as well. Some pretty good meat, isn't it? All right. One, and we'll season this all pretty heavily with some salt. Look at that. Very nice. She must be really happy. Oh, look at all that. Perfect. Let's get that all taken care of, and then I'm going to go ahead and salt it pretty heavily. And I'll get rid of the cutting board as well, because I no longer have any use for it. Okay. Hello, hello, hello. Lovely to see you. Hope you're doing good. Okay. Let's get all this out of here. I'll use a different cutting board for the rest of the prep that we have to do later on. Get this back on. And so, I think it's fine if I also salt that other one. I'm going to just put it into the fridge and do something else with it later, is my thought. Yeah, we'll just do that. I'm going to take it off and put it onto a different plate, is what I'll do. Ooh, exciting. All right, my friends. Let's hit this thing with a bunch of salt. Well, first we'll actually just pat it dry just to really make sure. This, I'm going to do something else with another time that's not today. And it just goes into the fridge. And now, we'll also preheat the pan in the meantime. So let's head on over to the stove as well. We have a Dutch oven ready to go, isn't it? Beautiful. It's great. And so guys, by the way, nice golden rule of thumb. Anytime you're working with anything non-stick or anything enamel like a Dutch oven, the number one mistake that I see people do, okay, is they heat it up when it's empty. You cannot do that. You can heat it up for a second when it's empty, but it will lead to inconsistent heating and it will damage the enamel coating over time. So that's why even just a little bit of oil, okay, will really do a lot of work in making sure that it stays nice and intact over time. So a little bit of avocado oil going in. The meat has plenty of fat to fend for itself, so we don't have to worry about it necessarily sticking to the pan. We're just gonna get that oil nice and hot. We're gonna take a paper towel. We're gonna pat all this stuff dry, just to be really, really sure. It's gonna go in some hot oil, right? You don't want this to be wet by any means. Sweet. And then we will pat dry the other side once we flip it over. It'll be good. All this meat going into the chili. Why avocado oil? Well, because A, it's the oil that I have, B, it doesn't burn as easily as olive oil, and it's a pretty neutral tasting oil. So, salt, pretty generous all over it. Guys, these are big pieces of meat. I promise you, your chili is not gonna be too salty, okay? We're going to season all the chili stuff later. This is just for now for us to get a nice, good crust. It's all gonna shred up beautifully. Okay. Nice. And then we'll go ahead, we'll take all of this. Don't worry about the vegetables, those are all gonna get cooked. We'll flip all of this over. And we'll salt the other side just as heavily. And all the bones, right, all the collagen specifically, not really the bones, are going to give us a very, very flavorful chili, which is another added benefit. We're using also homemade chicken stock. So this is gonna be one meaty chili, my friends. That is not something you have to worry about at all. This thing lacking in any flavor. Okay, Everything salted pretty heavily. I realize I did not pat dry the other side, but that's totally okay. We'll live. Let's just pat the salt into the schmeat. Okay, nice. Can get rid of the salt now. It's done its job for us. The pan is heating up. Guys, it's an enamel Dutch oven. You don't want to crank up the heat. You want to go nice and low and slow as long as it takes. I'll peel that glove off, and I'll take care of the sheet tray and put it behind me once again until the oil is heated up and ready to go. And now we can also work on prepping our chilies, which needs to happen. So here's the deal. First step, I'm going to actually just wipe all of this down. Ooh, should not have bumped into my knife. That's okay though. It's going to be a lot better than ground meat. Okay, so here's the deal. Our chilies, they need to be de-seeded, and they need to be stemmed, and then they need to be soaked in some hot water. So what's going to happen now, I'm going to go in to my kettle. I'm going to fill it up with some water, and I'm going to get this nice and boiling for the chilies. Okay, the chilies need a bit of time for it to soften, and we're going to puree it before it actually goes into the rest of the chili. I just touched my eyeball with the hand that I was chopping jalapenos with. I'm going to be fine. I'm going to be fine. Everything is fine. Okay. We have our different bowls ready. Let's get our chilies out. And then we'll just be nice and efficient with our time while we wait for the pan to preheat. Okay. Where's the rest of my little chilies? Sweet. Okay, my friends. So those are all of the chilies. Let's have a little sip of water. So what's going to happen? We're going to have a little container here where we will put in all of the seeds. You don't want the seeds. You don't want the cap of it either, right? So just like this, and then you're going to go in, you're going to split this up halfway like so. You're going to open this bad boy up, and out all the seeds will come, okay? Nice and easy. This one could be a little bit fresher. It's a little too dry, but we're using a lot to compensate for it. So it might have lost some of its flavor, but luckily this was the last of this chili that I had. Look at this, huh? This is what a chili is supposed to look like. Tear it up into pieces, throw it in here, and this is just so that it can soak evenly. Tear it up, perfect. Next, just repeat this with all of your chilies. Go down all of the length. Take the stem out, perfect. Oh, that one's stem did not come out nearly as easily. That's okay. I'm just gonna get rid of that. And once again, tearing this up into pieces. And we're gonna blend it all down with a stick blender. This is where the flavor of the chili will really come through, okay? The number one issue is that people are cooking with chili powder and it makes a mess. It's a mistake. It doesn't have any of the flavors of the chilies that I have here. These are gonna be so fruity, they're gonna be really complex. We have, of course, these really nice and smoky, and these for some of the heat. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be excellent, in fact. So, I can already smell the oil heating up. In about a moment's time, it'll be ready for us to put in the meat. So let's head over to the stove. That's been heating up for a little minute now. Have a little sip of water as well. Yeah, we're getting some light wisps of smoke. Always a good indication that it is ready to be meated, to have meat put in it, is what I meant to say. Let's get all of that oil distributed. My oven is at a very slight tilt, which is pretty annoying. And as a result, all the oil tends to pool to one side, right? So let's do the big piece of chuck first. Let's get that all in there. And we're gonna get a lot of really good color on it. We're gonna spread that oil around one more time. And we'll go in with a couple short ribs. We don't wanna overcrowd the pan. Really, really important that we don't do that, okay? We can probably only fit one more piece. And then the rest of it, in the next batch, we'll do the rest of the short ribs. And then we'll go in with all of our aromatics. So that's happening now. We're gonna get a lot of really deep browning on it, and that is the beauty of using whole pieces of meat, okay, that using ground meat will never do for you. She will never be her, okay? Ground meat will never be this. This is just an entirely different product, my friends. Okay, let's head back on over here. and we'll finish prepping this up. Isn't this nice? Look at this. You got me, you got this, you got that, all happening at the same time. Pretty sick. Not to brag about it or anything, but I'm just proud of it. That's all. Okay, this bad boy is a little hard. Again, these aren't necessarily the freshest chilies as I would have liked. They're a little bit stale, but now is as good a time to use them up as any. Okay? So, open them up. You can take all of these out now. These are going to be a little bit more difficult for this chili. Okay. Yeah, these are always going to be a little bit more annoying. And we're looking to get really good browning, really good color. And all of it we're going to basically deglaze, okay, with our aromatics. It's going to pick it up. We're not looking to get like a lot of super heavy browning or anything on the onions and bell peppers, but it's like exuded moisture is going to really come into play here. Okay, next one. This one's a little bit more tender, right? You don't want, I think these are anchos that I have. Chipotles are black, if I'm not mistaken. Okay, huge. Sick. All of them getting thrown in now. We'll get rid of the last of these seeds. And the smell of the browning meat. Can't go wrong. I don't know which side is the top or the bottom. I'm going to assume it's this side. Maybe I was wrong. I wish these were a little bit fresher. You see how difficult it is to cut? But that's okay. I'll buy some and replenish my stock. And it will all be okay. Okay. Go back through this, snip all of this up. Or maybe just tear it up and use your hands if you have to. Out she goes. Leave the meat basically undisturbed. This idea though, that you have to like never touch a steak, never touch a piece of meat as it's searing, just let it do its thing, isn't entirely true. You don't lose that much heat by flipping it often. Also, Melarson, hello, it's lovely to see you. We're just getting our fresh chilies prepped. Our fresh, dried chilies for the chili that we're doing, right? Now the arbals, you can just basically take out the top, just like so, and then open them up, squeeze it, and then out it comes, and then tear that up into little pieces as well. Okay. Once again, we'll open that up, we'll tear it up. Hello, Tel Aviv, lovely to see you. Oh, it does. You're smelling the chilies, you're smelling the, meat that's roasting, and that's still before the chili is actually properly made. Okay, so it's got the arbals, I believe these are also the pasillas, and the anchos all inside, and now we're going to flood it with our hot water. And once again, the hot water is pretty essential. This is so that we can soften it up, and then we can blend it up, okay? We're going to make a nice chili paste, just like so. And that's just doing its thing now. That's just chilling and hanging out. You can submerge it if you really want to with like a little bit of ceramic or something. I don't think it's that necessarily that important, but you do you. Okay. Gonna set that aside. What we also have to build, we have to build our spice blend that we will be grinding up. Okay? So, into this cute little pan. Once again, guys, we're doing whole spices. We're doing a bunch of cumin. This is fundamental in chili. You cannot have a chili without a lot of cumin. And I mean a lot of cumin. Look at this. You see how much cumin that is? That's a lot of cumin. I like cumin a lot. It's one of my favorite spices. It's up there. And then we'll also do some coriander seed. This one, not so much. It is a cute pan, isn't it? The coriander seed, not so much. And then we'll also do some black peppercorns. And then we'll check on the meat and see how the color is progressing. And then we'll be toasting up the spices as well in the meantime. Few peppercorns as well. But mostly, the fundamental thing here is going to be the cumin seeds. So, let's head over to the stove. Let's see how that's going. Take a look at all of our meat. Oh yeah, that's getting a lot of really good color. In fact, it's basically ready for a flip. That's right. Come on. There she is. That's going really, really good. It's going great, in fact. Beautiful. Now, my friends, let's head over to the stove we will be toasting up these spices now, okay? We'll be toasting up the spices, and then we'll throw it into a mortar and pestle. Yes, that chuck is absolutely huge. It is massive, isn't it? So, spices. You want to keep them rotating semi-constantly. Over a nice medium heat. The chilies are soaking. We have warm, freshly toasted spices. We're getting a lot of color by using whole chunks of meat, okay? I have indeed. Also, hello. Hi, it's lovely to see you. Is that my little lip champ? So, over like a medium heat, it doesn't really matter too much. All we're trying to do is we're just trying to toast up the spices a little bit. Get some good aroma out of it. They do look pretty good, don't they? Just keep it moving. You don't want it to burn, right? It doesn't necessarily have something to evenly conduct the heat. We're letting the meat go, we're letting it do its thing. We'll also get the mortar and pestle ready in just a moment. I'll set the chilies aside. Get that over here. How do we frame it? Something like that. That should look cute. Move this around still. But yeah, the cumin is a fundamental component. You cannot sleep on it in a chili at all. To me, it is super noticeable. Yeah, great. We got some smoke out of it. Perfect. We can kill it. Is that a new tattoo on your arm? You mean my Gengar one? What, this one? Or do you mean my wrist ones, like these? Because I've had those for a while. Okay. Let's take a look at the meat. How's she progressing? How's she going? Looking pretty good. We're gonna leave it for a couple more minutes on that side. We can definitely push the color. The most important thing that we're looking at, we're making sure that the bottom isn't too burnt, okay? So that we can then deglaze it, right, with our aromatics. We'll sweat it down. We don't want the bottom to be too burnt so that it doesn't incorporate all that flavor into the chili. Kind of, it depends what you're doing. If I'm making a powder, okay, you can't grind it down too much. If I'm using this for something like peppercorn crust on a steak, then you want to intentionally leave it coarse. But typically speaking, to my understanding, you want to grind it basically as finely as possible. Unless somebody can prove me wrong on that. That is my understanding of it. Okay, chilies are soaking. Now, always with a mortar and pestle like this, you start by first just smushing it down. We're not banging it yet. These are dry spices. You have to make sure that none of them are in the intact positions. You have to just flatten them so that when we go with rotational force. Also, thank you so much for the Prime sub. Really appreciate it. Okay, something like this. Perfect. And then we're able to do that, right? But first, we have to actually smush it all down. Just like so. Have a good stream. Tel Aviv, are you leaving already? Oh no. Well, thank you for being here. And now. I was playing a lot of Isaac this morning. So now we're able to go in with all these rotational motions. Come back in, get some of the big pieces. Get a lot of good color developed on that meat as well at the same time. Fun process, isn't it? Get myself a multi-monitor setup. Oh, yeah, for Tel Aviv. No, Darla would be too distracting. Look at that. That is perfect. And we can keep going. And this is mostly cumin. This is a lot of cumin. But I don't mind at all, because it's my favorite. I love cumin. Okay. Woof. That's going pretty good. Let's go ahead and take a look at the meat once again. We'll take it off if we need to. because we have another batch of meat that all needs to be seared off, right? That does look pretty good at the moment. We can push those short ribs a little further. How's the chuck going? Yeah, you know what? She can still go in with the second. The fond at the bottom isn't too dark or anything, which tells me we'll be okay to do the second batch. Guys, if the bottom is getting too burnt, pull it off early. Pull it off early. Sometimes life happens. You won't be able to get as much crust as you want, but you don't want the fond at the bottom to be black. You don't want a burnt pot at the bottom, okay? Because all of that is going to go back into the chili. And so we're going to do this in the pressure cooker. I just have the Dutch oven up because some components won't go in the pressure cooker. Ideally, I would do all of it in the Dutch oven, but that would take too long for us to do on stream. So, this is about the texture that we want. Nice fine powder. Just like so. And what's really nice, by the way, about the inclusion of the beans in the chili, it's going to really help keep everything together, right? It's going to really help keep the texture of it really nice and thick. Sorry to any, I don't know, Texans that get inexplicably offended by that or something. I don't know. You guys are silly. Okay. We can just simply pull the meat off. Let's get it out of here. So it's going to go back on the sheet tray because, guys, once again, it does not matter that we're cross-contaminating it because it's all going to get cooked longer. Okay, this is not a finished product by any means. It just goes back onto the same sheet tray from whence it came. And by the way, meat will not have a lot of resting juices unless you've actually cooked it to the point that the meat is releasing water. This meat is effectively still raw on the inside, given how much heat is able to permeate or lack thereof because of the big bone. Okay? I promise you, it's not going to release a significant enough amount of resting juices. Okay? Cooking content creators that I like, yes. Also, University, welcome. It's lovely to see you again. Thank you for stopping by. Yes, I do like, stop calling me Ohioan. Cut it out. I really like Chinese Cooking Demystified. Chinese Cooking Demystified is actually very helpful to me because it's something I'm not familiar with to the extent that I would like to be. Chinese cooking is so regional. It has so much that goes into it. And they really do, as the name suggests, they really do demystify it in some ways, right? They show off all the regionality of it. They get to show off a lot of home solutions. I love, love, love the approach that Chinese Cooking Demystified does to their food videos. And I love the fact that it's not rushed. They're not doing things like, you know, every 2 days where it's like, oh, cooking challenge, this and that. It's cute. It's a good channel. It's very informative. And I would like to start expanding my pantry a little bit and expanding my repertoire into doing that because I'm really good at some things, but there's some things that I might not necessarily be the best on. If anything, I will not pretend to know something that I don't. But here's the thing, it can be a little bit difficult if you are in basically a Western kitchen like mine to do things like Chinese food because it requires just such a different amount of pantry staples, right? Fundamentally, like the soy sauces that you use, you need multiple. You need like a nice light soy sauce, you need a nice dark soy sauce. You need a lot of different fermented products. You need a lot of different pickled products. And then like a lot of very specific vegetables and greens that go into really, really good Chinese cooking, right? So it's its own thing, and it has to be really appreciated with that. Not to make it intimidating, that's what Chinese Cooking Demystified is for. Okay. I'm glad you subscribed. That is a channel that I will always fight for. Also, I love Internet Shaquille. Internet Shaquille is great because I feel like, maybe this is a parasocial assumption, whenever I watch his videos, I feel like they are congruent with his own cooking journey. He actually just learns something new and then makes a video about it and talks about like his process of learning these different things, right? It feels very human. It doesn't feel very content-y. And I really like Internet Shaquille for that reason. So those are my two big recommendations. I also like Pasta Grannies because I think it's cute, right? I think it's really cute stuff. Even if the content can get a bit of repetitive, from time to time, it's just pretty good. Okay. Ooh, the short ribs are getting really good color, my friends. We'll push that side a little bit longer. And you see all of that beef fat that's in the pan. That's what we'll be cooking all of our aromatics in. Okay, spices done. Chili currently soaking, right? Still finishing up the soaking process for that. We're just going to flip it over and move it around. Make sure that everything that wasn't submerged is now as submerged as it could be. Okay. The rest of the prep that we have to do, which is going to be chopping up some aromatics, working on our rice, we'll actually just do after. We'll do all of that stuff after. I'm going to put some of my spices away. I guess what we can do in the meantime, I'm going to just simply go to my pressure cooker bowl, and we'll start throwing some things in. So, for example, in here, right, this is our pressure cooker. We're going to go in with the short ribs, right? The short ribs already done. The chuck we're actually going to have to probably chop into some smaller pieces. I could have actually just brought the sheet tray over and made my life easier, but that's okay. So this is going in, and then we'll also throw in the chicken stock cubes that I have. Give it like a second to melt, right? I made this chicken stock. I love freezing it in cubes, nice and dated and labeled, okay? And then we're just going to toss those bad boys in. And that's all going to go into the chili. And guys, once again, that stock is unseasoned. It is unsalted. It has some aromatics in it, but it doesn't have any salt because we don't know how much we're going to reduce it, and we don't know yet how salty our other ingredients are. I keep telling you guys to do this. Always, always, always make sure that when you're making a chicken stock, when it's a base stock for something else, you keep it unsalted. I have chicken stock in my freezer ready to go, okay? I keep those cubes on me. That's right. I don't play around. So, let's head back on over to the short ribs. We're going to give those bad boys a nice little flip. Give them a little flip action. We got a lot of good color on the bottom. We got a lot of fat rendered out. Oh yeah. That's what I'm talking about. We're getting a good roast on it. Super, super flavorful meat. And so, that's going to finish up. We're going to throw that into the pressure cooker. We're going to take all of our beautifully chopped up onions and jalapenos and bell peppers. It's going to go in. Then we're going to add in the garlic, add in the spices, take it out, put it in the pot. I got a lot of things to say about Adam Ragusa. I got a lot of things to say it. All right. Yes, friendliness and accessible, but here's my biggest critique of Adam Ragusa. When he cooks, it looks like it's a chore because he has very little care for actually getting things done in a way that's enjoyable and fun. And he does things so quickly that he makes a mess that he's going to then have to clean later. And it's very, very rough and very rustic. And I'm using rustic very lightly here. It's a little messy, the way that he cooks. And to me, I watch that and I get really stressed out. I get really, really stressed out. And so in a way, I'm trying to do the opposite. I'm trying to take my time and go really, really slow, but show you guys how beautiful and fun taking your time with every single step and why we're doing it can actually be. I like his, food science videos when he actually goes out and interviews experts in that field. I think that is maybe the best content that he has. When he's actually interviewing people that wrote a book about pickling something and the bacterial processes that go into the fermentation. Right? That kind of stuff is exciting to me. That's the kind of stuff I wish he just did. I think that's what he does well, right? He seems to be quite good at that. And so, that's why I like that part of it, and not the other parts as much. Okay, so, chilies have been soaking for quite some time. We're gonna go ahead and transfer them into a container that we can just blend it all in. I gotta find where that container is, because I have one just suited to the stick blender. I found it, beautiful. It's nice to not blend, if we're using a stick blender, in something like this, and instead just doing it in a nice tall vessel, right? We're just gonna get all of it in there nice and patiently. Let's not make a mess of it. But yeah, sorry to hate on the guy that you were yeah, this guy's great. My apologies for that. I just have my very specific opinions about it all. And guys, once again, this is the beauty of the chili, okay? The fresh, whole chilies. Also, thank you, Kaze, for stopping by. Really, really appreciate it. You know what? Let's first just pour in all the chili water. We don't want to waste any of this either. The soaking liquid has a lot of flavor to offer, and we're all going to reduce it later. He's dead to me now. Good. Great. God, I'm glad that I have this kind of sway over you guys' opinions. And again, sometimes I can be like a little bit of an asshole with like how much I hate on somebody, but I think those are really reasonable critiques to have of this content. That's why, not to like necessarily, you know, make enemies or anything. I just see him and I get stressed out because it just feels like a chore when he does things, right? He's just throwing things around. It's just a lot. I like giving everything like the time and the love that it actually deserves and demands, right? We took the time to toast and grind up our spices. We're gonna make our own chili paste. We're not doing things with chili powder. We're making beautiful stuff here, guys. We're making beautiful stuff. Okay, let me get my blender out. I'm gonna get that plugged in the meantime. And we'll have to pull out the short ribs as well. And we'll throw that all into the pot. And so guys, I wish I had a little bit more stock, but I think we will have enough. And again, it's all gonna reduce down anyways. The pressure cooker needs a little bit more water than you actually need. And then it's just going to reduce down back in the Dutch oven when we put it in. You love the setup. Why, thank you. I really appreciate it. So let's head back on over to the stove, my friends. And I think the meat is now officially done skis. We have a lot of fat in here though. Wow. Okay. That is all done. Perfect. We're gonna go back in a pressure cooker pot and we're gonna put it in. The chuck we will have to chop up though. The short ribs we can just throw in as it is. Okay? Just like so. And then when the bones slip out, it'll be perfect. So look at that. We have all of that rendered beef fat. It's perfect. That's gonna be excellent for our aromatics. The bell pepper, the onion, the jalapeno, and then later the garlic. For all of that to just cook in pretty comfortably. Okay? All of this. And look at that. You see that stuff at the bottom? That is the fond, right? All of that is going to dissolve into the stew itself. It's all going to dissolve into the chili. And it's going to give it a lot of the oomph, a lot of the flavor. And that's why, even though I'm doing multiple pots right now, it's not ideal for me to do multiple pots. Ideally, I would do all of this in the same Dutch oven. Okay? I'm using the liquid, okay, of the onions, of the bell peppers, of the jalapenos as well, to pick up stuff off the bottom, and then we'll be able to integrate it in. And if there's anything stuck at the bottom, we'll just simply deglaze it, and it'll be fine. Okay, so all of these aromatics are now going in. Perfect. I'm gonna save the bowl just in case I need it for something else, which I think I might. Great. And why, thank you. I love them more. Haven't played it in a while though. Okay. I'll get rid of that bowl for a minute. And we gotta give this a nice stir, my friends. We gotta pick up all the stuff that's stuck at the bottom. And if you're using enamel, guys, remember, please be gentle with it. Don't use metal tools. Don't scrape it up. Even if it's a Le Creuset, I see people all the time, they go in there with metal tools. Use wood. People don't use wooden tools nearly enough as they should. Okay, not everything is a stainless steel flat top. Not everything is a plancha. Okay, sometimes you just are gonna have to do it this way. So look at that. All of the aromatics covered in that beef oil, in that tallow that we rendered out from the chuck, that we rendered out from the short ribs. That's the jalapenos, that's the bell peppers, that's the onions. Okay, we're gonna hit it with some salt. I don't think it's that important. Again, there's this idea that adding salt will always draw out the moisture in something. It's gonna cook, it's gonna collapse in texture. It's still gonna release its liquid, as you can tell in the change of sound. So I do wonder if I can do like a side-by-side experiment one time about how the salt will affect the moisture escaping something at what part in the process for doing vegetables. Or there might just be existing videos on that already, but that could be very heat dependent, could be very vegetable dependent. Anyways, look at this. All covered in the oil, and we're scraping up the bottom, okay? We're getting in there, we're scraping up the bottom. We're making sure we're putting all of the fond back into the vegetables. And we don't really care about getting color on it or anything. It's more about just sweating them down and getting them soft and picking up the stuff from the bottom. Now, also guys, really quick step. If you guys remember from the stream that we did last time on Friday, we made some caramelized onions. I'm just gonna put that into the chili. Why not? If worst case, it's gonna get lost. It's not going to do anything else. You don't have to include this. I just wanna get rid of these caramelized onions that we made. Look at these, beautiful, sweet, like sugar, like candy. Okay, and I just wanna put it back in. I think it would just be a very nice addition. I think it's just gonna add a little bit of extra sweetness to the whole deal, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Just take that out of the container into the pot with everything else in it. Lovely. I just think it'd be a nice touch. And it's a nice way to get rid of leftovers. Okay? I didn't know what I'd use those caramelized onions for if not this. So all of those vegetables just cooking down. Beautiful. Look at that go. Smells great. Smells great. Okay. And guys, once again, the beans I've already made. I've already prepared last night. I want to get rid of these leftover beans. They're already cooked and super, super saucy because I reduced them. They're not going to go in the pressure cooker. And that's why it's nice that we're doing like 2 pots. You just want to add this later in the process. If you were to do this all in the Dutch oven, this would be basically the final step. If you're working from a can of cooked beans, you have to cook it down even more, including the bean liquid. Guys, super important. Number one thing that I hate on recipes is when they say drain off the canning liquid. That canning liquid, the liquid that the beans cooked in, okay, when it reduces down, it makes things so beautifully thick. It keeps things thick. It keeps things like very, very viscous. Okay, that is the culmination of all that bean water that ended up cooking down. It's a very, very nice thickening agent and stuff like this. It's a combination of like the exuded proteins and of course some of the mashed beans in there. It's really good stuff. I highly recommend keeping it around. Do not under any circumstances waste that. Okay. Viscous is not a made up word. Look it up. Look it up. I say viscous all the time on the stream. I say viscous constantly. It's one of my favorite words. Okay, my friends, let's blend up the chilies. Head back on over here. Let's set this aside. Let's get these chilies. Look at them. Ready to go. Viscous is a real word. Put it in there. Make a nice chili paste. Where do you think the word viscosity comes from? Viscous means something is thick. Ooh, fuck. That's, no, look up viscous and viscosity. It's an adjective. Here, I'm looking it up now. I think you misspelled viscous. It has an O-U-S. Having a thick, sticky consistency between solid and liquid. That's what viscous is. O-U-S, not U-S. I've never described a woman's thighs as viscous before, and I don't think I will. Guys, do you see this thing? This, my friends, is what chili paste is all about. This is what chili is all about. Chili is not about dried shitty chili powder. It's about this, whole dried chilies that we then blended up. It's perfect. Let's move the vegetables around. I can see that the fat has started to separate the onions and the garlic and everything is just sweating down. It's getting really nice and soft. Beautiful. Genuinely beautiful. Okay. Cook that down a little bit more and then we'll add in the garlic. Yes, immersion blenders are my favorite. I love them. Oh, I just put it on upside down. I think viscous is used to refer to fluids exclusively. All right, making sure that the chili paste is as finely ground up as possible. Look at that. Look at that. That is perfect. Okay. The blender I'm going to need a little bit later. We're going to do the tomatoes. We're going to do it separately. I don't want the tomatoes in a pressure cooker because they have a tendency to stick and burn at the bottom. And we have a lot more steps that we have to do for that too. Okay, sweet. That, my friends, I'm going to set aside. I'm going to set aside this little tool. Just rinse it off. Make sure nothing dries out on it. Also, thank you so much for the sub mods, and really appreciate it. Okay. This I'm gonna just have over there, chill out and hang out. In the meantime, let's head back on over to the stove and let's take a look on how the vegetables are going. Look at this, the vegetables. Look at all of that beef fat that it's cooking in. Isn't that a sight to behold? I think that's a beautiful sight, my friends. Oh, slick. All of the flavor from the meat. All of the bottom that we ended up scraping off, right? All of it's going back into the vegetables. It's perfect. It is actually just perfect. So happy about this. It looks great. Woof. Okay. So here's what has to happen. Vegetables, we're going to cook it down a little bit more. Then we'll add in the garlic. And then we have to work on peeling some tomatoes. And we'll get that ready too. And we'll cook that down in the Dutch oven just a little bit. Just a touch. We're not looking for the vegetables to necessarily caramelize to get like a lot of super, super deep flavor. We just kind of want them to melt into the chili. And we're giving them a nice head start. And they're serving a very functional purpose by picking up what's left on the bottom. Okay, we're not looking for caramelized onions. We're not looking for fried onions. Just to get a little bit to get it going. I'm very happy with how everything is going. Every component, by the way, guys, it looks amazing so far. The meat got a really good sear on it. Everything is really just falling into place. It's all coming together, okay? So, in the meantime, what we should also do, we should chop up the rest of the chuck that we have. I'm gonna just do a small cutting board because it's gonna be really quick. Okay, let's head back on overhead. Over here. I know I didn't put like a paper towel on the bottom and stuff. It's not the best form in the world, but it will be good enough. Again, the meat shouldn't leak a lot of liquid because it should be basically raw on the inside at this point. Look at that. Look at that slab of chuck. Not the best form, I know, but we're just trying to get things done, okay? All I'm trying to do now, remember the size of the short ribs that we had? I'm just trying to get it approximately to be the same size. The short ribs, we don't have to cut up any more than they already were. This I'm just going to cut off like this, like so. And then this last piece, I'm just going to cut it in half like this. Perfect. And again, guys, the inside is totally raw. Don't worry about that. It does not matter, okay? So, it doesn't have to be totally cooked on the inside or anything because this is all going into the pressure cooker, okay? So I'm gonna dump that in. Oh, the chuck looks so good. Holy shit, that pressure cooker is gonna be full. Okay, let's go ahead and give that all a nice little stir once again. Yeah, there we go. The vegetables cooking up really, really nicely. This is now a good point to add in the garlic. Okay. It served its function. It picked up what was on the bottom. It's become one with the fat. Now we'll fry off the garlic a little bit and we'll add in the spices as well. Okay? Yeah, you guys actually might just be killing it for me. You guys really might be killing it for me. Stop it, please. Guys, I'm begging you. I'm going to ban that word in chat. Oh, you guys are going to hate that. I'm going to ban it. There's nothing you can do about it past that point. Okay. So, garlic. It's all going to go in now, my friends. Dump it all in. Have it cook up in that fat. Look at that. Perfect. The smell of garlic has hit the kitchen. It's great. Look at those vegetables. That is going to be the base of an excellent chili. It's going to melt in. It's going to become one with the liquid. It's going to be lovely. Okay. We don't have to cook the garlic for too long. We don't want it to burn or anything. The heat is gentle enough that we don't really have to stress about that, but it's good to keep an eye on it. And then we can also add in the spices now. Okay? Guys, this is the worst. All of the cumin, all of the black pepper, all of the coriander seeds going in now. We're going to fry that for a little bit. It was already toasted. We don't want the spices to burn. So we're actually just going to be pretty quick with it at this point. Just get it all in there. Get that to fry in the oil for just a second. And we can even probably shut off the heat too. Because it's a cast iron pan. It's an enamel Dutch oven, excuse me. Has a lot of carryover cooking that it's capable of. Because of how thick of a piece of metal it is. Okay? Get that all spread out. Perfect. And that, my friends, is going to be the vegetables for this chili. Before the tomato inclusion, of course, still. Great. Perfect. Let's go ahead and go in with the pressure cooker, and we'll dump it all in. We'll get it all in there. Okay. This pressure cooker is getting really full. Oh man, it might take a while. So all of it going in now. All of that extra volume is probably just from the bones more than anything. All of that just going inside. Perfect. Really trying to not make a mess here, but that might be a little difficult. This has all of the spices. This has the homemade chicken stock. Oh my God, I just splashed and made a mess. I should have used any other tool. How much did you miss? Well, we're about to put it into the pressure cooker. So you've missed maybe like the first third of the stream, but there's still plenty for us to do. So don't sweat it too much, okay? This is about to go into the pressure cooker. This is gonna have to cook, and then we're gonna work on the tomato aspect of the chili. And you also missed chat annoying the hell out of me. You also missed that. So, spices toasted, garlic added and fried up beautifully. The chili paste was made. We're about to add that in as well. I'm just trying to get in the last of these vegetables, which are becoming increasingly difficult for us to scoop. This is it. And it's all going to go back into this Dutch oven, okay? This is just for stream purposes that we are expediting this entire cooking process. And we're going to add in a couple of extra things. We're going to do a splash of soy sauce for a little bit of extra oomph. We'll do a little bit of MSG as well, because why not? Oh my God, I fucking splashed again. It's over. The dream is dead. I literally could have just used like 2 wooden spoons or something, and it would have been better than what I'm doing right now. Okay. That should be good. I'm going to go ahead and wipe this stuff off because I'm annoyed by it. Lovely. Yes, well, I'm glad. I really like my mortar and pestle. I use it all the time. It's really, really quick and easy, especially if you keep it dry. If you have a dedicated dry and wet one, you don't ever have to worry about, is that a bug? Is that a beetle? Die. You don't ever have to worry about washing it or anything. You just have to wipe it dry, right? And then if you have a wet one that you're doing for things like, let's say you're doing like a pesto, right? Then you can just wash that as needed. So, this, my friends, that Dutch oven, we're going to go back and we're going to repurpose and everything, okay? So, don't do that. You need a spice grinder for that. I think that's a little bit difficult to do like dried chilies and grind that up in a mortar and pestle, because some of them just kind of remain in whole chunks. Honestly, maybe if you had like a molcajete, if you had a molcajete, it would be like close enough for us to be able to do that. Okay, let's head back on over to the overhead camera. And we're going to put in the rest of the ingredients, and we're going to add in some water as needed. So, my friends, this is the chili components, right? It has the short rib, it has the vegetables, it has the spices, and now for the most essential component, hands down, the chili paste that we made ourselves. Look at that, perfect. We're gonna clean that off with some water, because we still need some water in here anyways. We need all that extra liquid. That is the perfect amount now. We're good. We are so good. We're so back. We are so back. And that should pressure cook for about 45 minutes or so. 50 minutes. We need the meat to get to a point where it falls apart and shreds. Okay, we want to be able to pluck the bones out. It's going to take a little bit of time. But guys, this is a labor of love. If you're doing this in a Dutch oven, this would be anywhere from 3 to 4 hours like this. Okay? You can chop it up into smaller pieces to do that faster. I didn't want to do all that because we have the short ribs. So it's just fine the way it is. Okay. So this, I'm going to set aside. We're going to go back in with our tongs. We're going to reposition everything. Make sure everything is as possibly submerged as it could be. And mix stuff around as well. Okay? It's going to be kind of difficult. I should have probably done the liquids first before I did any of the solids. We still have our chunks as well, okay, of the frozen stock that we put in, the homemade frozen stock that I have, always sitting in my fridge. Really, really important. And guys, the tomatoes are going to be a secondary feature. We're going to do that separately. We're going to add that in later. But the most important part about chili always, always, always comes back to the chilies themselves, okay? There's a reason why we have so much of that chili paste. All of that color comes from that chili paste, my friends. All of it. All of that flavor, all of that taste. We're not using pre-ground garbage chili powder, okay? It's night and day. It is actually just night and day. They're just two completely different, don't splash at me, are you serious? Who do you think you are? Get it all submerged as much as possible. We just want to make sure that we are evenly incorporating the paste throughout, because that has the potential to dry up and burn in a couple of parts, okay? So try to get rid of that if possible. Move all of this around. Get it all submerged. I really don't think we need any more liquid. This shouldn't burn at the bottom either. And guys, I don't like searing things in the pressure cooker pot itself. Okay? I don't love doing that. The reason for that is because it's kind of a shitty stainless steel pot. I just straight up have better cookware that is a little bit more comfortable for me to use, that I don't have to like stand over the machine. I like doing it separate. And then just letting the pressure cooker do what it does best, which is to pressure cook and not saute, not to get browning. You can if you really want to, and you do save up on a little bit on equipment, but I just think I get a better product this way, and I'm able to put a lot more intentionality and love into it, okay? So just making sure the last of that chili paste is evenly incorporated throughout. The meat is gonna release a lot of water in the cooking process, and the stock is gonna melt, so I'm not too worried about it being too thick at the moment. I'm not using the other word on purpose. And now we're just tucking everything in goodnight, okay? We're just tucking it all in as much as possible. Okay, sweet. Something like that, and it should be fine. Perfect, look at that. That is going to be an excellent chili, my friends. That is the base of something special. Something very special is gonna be happening in that pressure cooker, in that pot. Now, the thing we need to make sure of, you see these sides? These do need to be cleaned up. It's not good for the pressure cooker for these to be wet at all, much less covered in chili paste. Okay, it's gonna get really, really hot. Wipe all that bad boy off. And then is the bottom wet? The bottom is a touch wet. Okay, we'll have to wipe that off too. I'm gonna grab a towel to do that. Boop. Just wipe all the bottom off. It's okay if it's a little frosty from the condensation. It's just bad form to have a wet bottom on your pressure cooker. Okay. That was mostly from the condensation of the ice cubes, I think. Did I get rid of most of it? No, the answer is not. Kind of tricky to do with a full pot at the moment. Why is that still so, like, wet? Huh. Okay. That looks good. Let's get that in there, and this is gonna be high pressure for like 45 minutes, and then we'll do like a natural pressure release. That's quite some time for us to get all that done. Okay, that's going. What motivated you to get into cooking? Great. I grew up eating a lot of Russian food because I'm Russian, and I was sick of it, and I was annoyed, and I wanted to eat other things. And thus, that was my motivation to start cooking. I was very young. I might have been like 6 or 7. Woof, let's take a second to decompress. My friends, we just did the bulk of the effort, and it's all going into the pressure cooker. I cook my own beans. I cook my own beans now. That is my favorite use of a pressure cooker. This right here, these beautiful beans, super saucy, reduced in their own liquid, okay? I made this yesterday, and it's gonna go at the end because it's already fully cooked. So, good question. I love making my own beans, love it. Can't get enough of it, in fact. I'm gonna put some stuff away into the dishwasher. Guys, the best time to clean is during your passive time. A really important way to think about cooking, okay, is that you have 2 kinds of time. You have active time, and then you also have passive time. During active time, okay, how long did the beans take? So unsoaked, that was 40 minutes, 35 minutes, something like that, of high pressure, and then I did a natural pressure release for 15 minutes, and it got super tender. Yeah, they cook really evenly, and they cook super quickly. They're my favorite thing to do. They actually just are the best. I can't get enough of them. Okay, this I'm going to just plop in. Just into my dishwasher it all goes. Deal with her later on. Clean up my station while we're at it. Okay. So, Active time and passive time, very important to gauge. We just set something into the pressure cooker, now we're technically waiting for it to get done. Right? We have a lot of other things that we can do at the moment, but this is our passive time that we can use to slow down, clean some stuff up, get the world around us looking good. Ah, I understand. I can't get enough of beans, it's my favorite. Those I cannot get enough of. So my friends, a couple things has to happen now. We're gonna make some cilantro lime rice. That's gonna go into the chili, it's just gonna be a side to the chili is what I meant to say. Because she had tons of cans, she was already going to make chili in a crock pot. Ah, I see. Well, it is a little bit of trouble, and that's why, man, I don't like slow cookers very much. I don't love them. I don't love what they do. Not crazy about those at all. Not crazy about it. Do not like slow cookers. Okay. So, the rice. Let's talk about the rice for a moment. The rice that I am most exclusively using. This, my friends, is what we call Haigu rice. Let me get out the bag to show you. You guys might have heard me do this spiel a couple of times, but let me talk about it again. This is Haigu rice, and there's a very specific reason I'm using this rice. What is Haigu rice? Oh, I'm so glad that you asked. Thank you for asking. Basically, it is in between brown rice and white rice. There's three main parts of every single granule of rice. Okay? There is the actual grain itself, okay? Then there is the germ, and then there is the bran. The germ is like a little tiny part on the rice itself, and then the bran is what covers it. Brown rice has the bran and the germ intact. It's the entire granule. The white rice has the bran and the germ polished off. Haigu rice is in between, where the bran gets polished off, okay, so the outside coating, but the germ is kept intact. And basically, it has a little bit more nutritional value, but most importantly, it has a little bit more fiber. And that's kind of the issue with eating a lot of refined grains that lack fiber because we've removed it for textural reasons. It just is pretty important for digestion. The modern diet does lack a lot of fiber. And it also has a really nice taste to it because it doesn't just taste like nothing like most rices do. It has a bit of character, it has a bit of something to say. I'm also going to show you guys once again how to cook stovetop rice because it's pretty important to me. I don't own a rice cooker, I don't plan on it because I make perfect, consistently cooked stovetop rice. Does legit chili have beans? Depends what you're asking. You can have beans, you cannot have beans. There is no single correct one for that question. In my case, I like beans in my chili, thus my chili is getting beans. And how do I know so much? This has been my interest and my love, food, okay, researching it, getting to know as much as possible, and started to push against a lot of very common notions my whole life. This is what I've been effectively doing my whole life, okay? This is my life's work in a way. I've been cooking my whole life, and I don't plan to stop. So, my friends, I'm going to teach you stovetop rice fundies, all right? So, first step, number one. There is this idea that you need to wash your rice to death. And that is not entirely true. It's not really necessary to get dirt off of it. It's so that you are reducing some of the amount of starch, some of it. There's two things that can give you really, really sticky, starchy rice. Number one, if you mix it, that results more in gloopy rice, okay? And number two is if you don't rinse any of the starch off of it at all. For that reason, I intentionally leave some in when I wash it. I don't wash it till it's crystal clear, unless I'm doing something like a fried rice. In which case I wash it till it's crystal clear, Next, the idea that the water should be up to your fingernail when you do the fingernail test. That one is not very accurate. You know why? People have ridiculously different varied sizes of fingernails. Some are long, some have knuckles all the way up here. It's so different. Here's the rule of thumb. The more water you leave on top, the softer and mushier your rice is going to be. The less water that you have, the more granular and individual the rice is going to be. Some of it goes away in evaporation, and the rest of it gets absorbed. The ratio is 1-to-1, a little bit extra for evaporation, and then a little bit extra depending on how soft you want your rice. That is the way to think about stovetop rice, and my next advice, do it in the same vessel over and over and over again until you build a feel of that vessel. the evaporation, the amount that you need to add, is going to be dependent on the total surface area and how long it takes for it to get heated up properly. Okay? So, there's a lot of factors that go into this. It seems really, really simple, but if we want to make consistently perfect rice every single time, this is what you have to do. This is haiga rice. It has to be soaked. I'm pretty sure. I want to still try making it unsoaked. I haven't gotten to do that yet. No, Scally, watch it, buddy. So, I wish I could give you guys like a sync cam, but alas, that is not an option at the moment. But I am going to show you, once again, the first couple of passes that we do, okay, of how we wash rice. We're going to do claw grip, right? So, let me explain. Have you guys ever seen the espresso tools that evenly distribute them? Okay? Like these little things that are covered in a bunch of little prongs, and then you go through your espresso and then it evenly distributes it. A claw grip is basically the same theory with something like this, right? You go through, you mix it all around, you get the edges of the rice as well. And this is why you don't wash it in a colander either. Some people, they put rice into a strainer and then they just rinse it under the water. You have to properly cover and soak the rice to be able to get an even, consistent wash on it. And then you go ahead and you pour it out, and then you start the process anew, my friends. And you do that as many times as it takes for the amount of starch that you'll leave in. I'm sorry that I don't get to show the sophomore right now. I don't have a sync camera and I don't know if I will, but that could be fun. I just don't even know how to set that up. I wonder. Agitate it, move it around, rinse it off. Over and over. Okay. This, my friends, this right here, I just don't know how I'd set it up yet. This is about how clear I want my water. It's not crystal clear right now by any means, but we've agitated it, we've cleaned it as much as possible, as we would like, and we're leaving some of it in, okay? And now the question is, how much water are we actually going to put? Well, first of all, let's distribute the rice. Let's distribute it evenly and see how much we have on top. For my saucepan, and how many times I've actually made rice in this thing, I can tell you right now that is going to be a touch too dry. We're going to do a couple drops of water. Couple drops of water. Okay? Just like so. We don't want mushy rice by any means. And this to me should be enough for us to hydrate and soak the rice, and to be able to also account for evaporation. So this now has to soak for 30 minutes, or basically as long as we want it to go at this point. Okay? This is how you make stovetop rice. This is for haiga rice. You should soak it for 30 minutes, as is the traditional way to do it. But I should also do a proper test at some point about how accurate that actually is. Because there's a lot of things that people say about food that aren't actually true. And I have a sneaking suspicion that this is one of them, if you compensate with enough liquid correctly. You guys got that? You guys got that? You guys got all that stuff about how to make stovetop rice? If you have any questions about it, just ask me. Okay. Next up, my friends, here's what we should do. I'm gonna go ahead and wash off my other knife that I had. I was using it to cut meat. We're gonna cut some other stuff now. So you don't really need that anymore. Get that done ahead of time, because it's just nice to do that. We've got some stuff to prep. Okay. My knife has been properly washed off, super hot water. We're good for now, great. Too fast, can we get a cookbook? Give me enough money to develop it and then I will. So I've thought about like what it would look like if I were to develop a cookbook. I would love for it to be like a sliding scale payment and for there to be a free online PDF. Because we live in an age and we live in a society where a lot of really good knowledge is gate-kept by price. People of all kinds that would benefit from said knowledge do not have actual access to that knowledge because it's not free and available. And so they're forced to pirate or, do whatever, or they have to pay ridiculous amounts, especially for textbook costs. What I would love to do in my future, right? This is what I have planned. I would love to do a PDF that is widely distributed and free. The book itself will be sold purely at production cost, and then it's sliding scale for anybody that wants to pay extra, and I'll have a recommended extra amount that it would be paid for. Like a really nice hardcover version of it will be paid for in a way that I would profit from it, but that knowledge would still be widely available, free, and accessible. Because I'm a very strong believer that that kind of knowledge should not be gatekept by money. And the people that would buy the book are the ones that want to have a nice book on their shelves and want to financially support me and not just benefit from that knowledge. Yeah, basically. That's right, it works out. So as a result, I don't want to necessarily ever do that for profit. I would like to be able to profit from it in a way that I could sustain myself. But it requires the good faith of a lot of people, right? But that's how stuff like itch.io works, right? Where you can download a game for free because it's software, and then the developer says, hey, you should pay me this much for it. This is the recommended amount, or something, okay? So pressure cooker has almost built up all of the pressure that it needs to get going to go ahead and do its thing. It's gonna be quite a while. We have some other things to do in the meantime. Just taking a second to chill out before we actually embark on that journey, my friends. I'm trying to see if there's anything else in my immediate station that I could clean up. And I do believe I have a few items in mind that I could just get rid of right now. Great. I'll get rid of this. This is just gonna go inside. Perfect. Sweet. I'm also going to go ahead and clean up my mortar and pestle. Once again, I keep it nice and dry, so I don't have to really wash it or anything. It's just dry spices that go into it. Some old spices in there, but all we do is we just give this a nice little wipe, and then it's fine and good to go. My hand is kind of burning and stinging from all of the chilies that ended up making themselves comfortable on the back of my hand, which kind of sucks. That's okay. Get all the spices out. We no longer need this mortar and pestle, and I can go ahead and comfortably put it away. Great. So, my friends, let's talk about the tomatoes. We're gonna do something exciting. We're gonna go ahead and char the tomatoes. If you've ever watched this stream, you've seen me char vegetables every single time. And the reason we're going to do this is because we're going to get a bit of smokiness out of it. It's gonna be really nice. It's gonna be really tasty. So, let's go over here. We're gonna go ahead and set up our sheet tray. Put a little foil down, just to make my life easier, and we'll clean up later. Yes, it's a little bit wasteful, but such is life, I suppose. Okay, so foil goes down. We're gonna preheat the broiler because all of them just need a second to get going. They don't get immediately hot, right? They all need a little second. Something that people forget about them. Go ahead and get another paper towel down, just to keep our next cutting board intact and in place while we move it around. And now we'll go into actually slicing the tomatoes to be broiled. And you know, guys, this is all stuff that I've done on the stream before, but I'm going to explain it once again for anybody new of why we're doing the things that we do. First of all, fundamentally, why are we putting it under the broiler? Great question. Because I want to get a bit of smokiness. I want to get a bit of extra roasted flavor out of the tomatoes. And this is what I do for salsas. This is what I do for soups. It's basically my favorite step. It gives it a little bit more oomph that you don't necessarily always expect. Okay, we're looking to burn the skin and we keep the skin on as it blends. Pretty important stuff. So, tomatoes, right here, okay? Here's what happens. First step, we're going to go ahead and slice these bad boys in half, just like so. Then we're going to go in. We're going to have our waste bowl nice and ready. First of all, you know what? Let's just cut these all in half. Tomato prep is pretty easy. And then what I like to do, this little diagonal incision, 1 and 2 to get the core out. It will all be blended up anyways. Let's get the sheet tray as well so I have a place to put it. And all we're going to do, we're going to intentionally burn the hell out of the skin. And we're going to keep that skin on as we blend it. Okay? We'll get a lot of really good roasted, very good smoky flavor out of the tomato that way. So, ooh, this sheet tray is a little bit tiny. Uh-oh. Well, I think it'll actually all fit. It'll all fit perfectly, in fact. Yeah, no, that's good. Okay. Just like so, my friends. Diagonal incision, get the coil out, put it onto the pan. For this, we'll also get that little butt out. Wow, the pressure cooker is still not done building pressure? That kind of sucks. Uh-oh. We might have nothing to do again while we wait for things to cook. So, that's all done. I'm actually going to go through this again and make sure I get rid of all these little butts as well, because those aren't too pleasant for us to eat. I want this entire tomato, once it's actually charred, for all of it to be nice and edible, okay? Most people wouldn't do this. I don't even think it's that important. It just makes me feel better to do it. This step, though, that one's kind of important. I don't really know what that is. Here we go. Great. The tomatoes, my friends, are now ready to go. So we don't need any oil or anything. I've ultimately decided the oil is unnecessary. Do I blend them with the seeds? Yes, I do. I don't believe in deseeding the tomatoes. Deseeding tomatoes is a step that I see so many like really classic recipes do. You're wasting most of the tomato in that process. By keeping only the flesh, guys, don't do that. Just cook it down later. I never deseed my tomatoes. I never deseed my cucumbers. I am fundamentally opposed to doing those. So all of this, it's gonna go under the broiler, and we're looking to basically burn the hell out of the skin. Okay? Char it, get it really nice and smoky, and then we'll wait for it to cool down, and then we'll blend it all together. And it's gonna be good stuff. Okay. Have a little sip of water. We gotta work on the blended tomatoes. That's gonna happen now. We also gotta work on our garnishes. That will actually be happening through the chili as well. So, first step, we have this little quarter of an onion that we have here. We're gonna prep that up really nice. Okay? So just as we did before, except we're actually just going to slice this even smaller than we did last time. In fact, what I also wanted to show you guys is how I prep cilantro. Normally I wash it beforehand and just have it in my fridge ready to go. I talk about it so often, about having fresh herbs that have been pre-washed, that I'm just going to show you the process this time. So, all the onion, we're going to get this really super fine mince, okay, because these are garnish onions. You don't want to just bite into a raw hunk of onion or anything. Just like so. Slice, 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 all the way through. Get all that done, all that taken care of. We're gonna scrape it up. Get it out of here. Perfect. That's all been done. And now I'm actually gonna quickly run to the bathroom. I'm gonna just show this in the meantime. I hope I mute my microphone correctly. That'd be pretty important for me to do. Hello, I should be back now. Hi everybody, hope you guys didn't miss me too much. So, I didn't do something great, and that was actually just leave something in the broiler by itself. Usually that's something that you have to baby because it's always going to be a slight fire risk. Holy shit, is it still building pressure? Oh, I am so annoyed at my pressure cooker. I am so annoyed at that. This is called a bench scraper. Wow, I can't believe that's taking that long. Every time it surprises me. Uh-oh. A bench scraper specifically. All right, guys, let's go ahead and take a look. I'm gonna move this stove, this big Dutch oven away, get some gloves out, and we'll take a nice little inspection and probably rotate the tray for a moment. We'll see how far along they've come. So, we're getting a little bit of color going on the tomatoes at this point, but not enough. So, what we're going to do, we're gonna rotate the tray, we're gonna make sure everything is cooking as evenly as possible, and we basically wanna burn the skins. We don't wanna cook all of the tomato, we wanna have it be like half cooked, half roasted, with that burnt charred skin, okay? And then we're gonna just blend it all down. Man, that thing is still building pressure. I am a little bit concerned, I can't lie. Because I was kind of expecting it to happen sooner. Is the seal on? The seal is on. Everything is going as it should. Oh well. Such is life, I suppose. And then we gotta go into washing the cilantro, and then we gotta prep the stuff with the cilantro lime rice that we're doing. And then we can see if there's anything else that can occupy our time. Also guys, if you have any cooking questions of any kind whatsoever, you're also just welcome to ask me that whenever you so feel like it. And what I am pretty excited about, the reason I was kind of inspired to do today's chili is because I had these pickled onions. Let's just show that on the cutting board. I had these pickled onions that I wanted to get rid of, which are an excellent garnish. And I think it's nice to have both like the raw onions, the cooked onions in the chili, and then also these pickled red onions that we did. Super, super tasty. We'll have a little taste of that as like a nice little treat, as a nice little snack. And these we did last time. These we did with a 2-to-1 ratio, or a 1-to-1, excuse me, of water to vinegar, a splash of sugar, a pinch of salt, and then some chilies in there as well. And that just went over the red onions. Awesome. Really sweet, really acidic, really nice and spicy from the chilies that we have in there as well. This is just some really good tasty stuff. Nice little treat. If you love pickles, you love pickled onions. And so I think having the duality of both will be really nice. The onions lost a lot of their sting and a lot of their bite because of the fact that we poured like the boiling stuff over it. Nice. Really tasty. Okay, close that up. That is taking a concerningly long amount of time to build up pressure, which I am not happy about at all. Kind of annoyed, in fact. Okay, so let's talk about our cilantro for a second. Let's do that. I want to talk about cilantro. So my friends, this is what I do every single time that I buy herbs. Let's go ahead and move all of the stuff away for a moment because we don't actually need to see it right now. This is perhaps one of my favorite kitchen tools, the salad spinner, okay? The cilantro I've already rinsed through a couple of times. I've had it soaking. I'm just gonna go ahead and strain this out. So this is how you should start cooking with more herbs. To me, the most frustrating thing is when people, they buy like a thing of cilantro at the supermarket and it's sitting there in a plastic bag in their fridge, and then they're like, oh shit, I have to wash this now and I have to get this ready, and then it goes bad after a few days. It's an entire mess, okay? Always, always, always pre-wash produce, especially lettuces and leaves, as soon as you get home before you're ready to cook, and store it correctly. I'm gonna show you guys exactly how to do that right now. So first up, we wash it a few times and we let it soak, and then we just rinsed it out. This is a cilantro that's fully washed, but it's a wet mess. If we were to go ahead and take this onto a cutting board, it's going to be a miserable cutting experience. It is way too moist. It is unpleasant to work with. I'm also checking on the tomatoes simultaneously. We'll pull that off in just a moment. So, that's why I love having a salad spinner. It's a very simple tool with a very simple objective. The answer is no. The answer is no, not really. Guys, a salad spinner does a very simple job. You go in there, you press this thing a few times, and it spins it dry. You don't have to waste a million paper towels. You don't have to press it between towels or anything. okay? This is by far one of my favorite tools because of how accessible it makes leafy greens, especially. Leafy greens, soft herbs like parsley and basil and cilantro. And the amount of water that even a little spinning, okay, I wasn't even getting too aggressive with it or anything, a little spinning, all of this water just came out of the cilantro that would have otherwise ended up in the food that we're cooking, in the salad that we're making, on our cutting board. And so you just mix it around for a second, just like so, flip it over, put it back on. This is an excellent tool to have. It really, really is. It has genuinely just made it so that I'm constantly cooking with herbs now. Get rid of as much moisture as possible. Is there something wrong with my rubber gasket in my pressure cooker? Because that has been going now for a while. Okay, I think we can also go ahead and pull off the cherry tomatoes now from the broiler, and we're gonna go ahead and let that cool for a moment. So it's not blazing hot when we go in to blend it. Yeah, that tomato skin got nice and blackened. It roasted up a little bit as well, and now we're just gonna have all of that chill down. Excellent, great. I'm nothing better. It is actually just ideal. Okay, the pressure cooker has now seemed to build up its pressure, and that's gonna be 45 minutes. Sorry that I keep going on about that. I just really did not have a backup because I thought I timed things correctly today, and then I did not. As usual, this kind of happens with me often. Okay, take that off. It's also very fun to use. It's very satisfying. Look, all of this liquid came out of it again that would have otherwise ended up in a salad, ended up in whatever you're making. And this, my friends, is now a properly washed bit of cilantro. We'll do one last iteration of it. One last time. Get it fully dry. It does tend to shake a whole table because it just carries the momentum, whatever is in it. That should be done now. That might have been excessive, but it got rid of all of that liquid still. It's great. Now, how do we actually store herbs like this to make them last a while in your fridge? The number one thing that happens is when people buy herbs, they get this entire bundle of it, they need this much for a recipe or something, and then the rest of it ends up going bad by the time that they're ready to use it again, because they don't cook with it nearly as often as they would like to. Right? Especially if it's like a very regional thing. So here's what you do. Really, really simple. Okay? Is this the right lid? I don't think this is the right lid. I'm going to show you guys right now. Really simple. First step, you're going to go ahead and take a piece of paper towel, just one, just like this, and you're going to have it inside of your container that you're putting it in. Your washed herbs, nicely dried off so it's not soaking wet by the time it goes in. Go in with your herbs and just shove it in. We will need some of it for today because we will need some for garnish and we'll need some for the rice itself. So about this much I'm gonna use, I think, maybe a little bit less. Just get it in there. The paper towel is gonna do a really good job of controlling the humidity in a way that keeps the cilantro fresh for longer. You don't want it too dry, you don't want it too wet, okay? And we're not smushing it in, right? We're not crushing it. It's all still very, very gently put in. The paper towel regulates the humidity. Okay, it's gonna keep the cilantro fresh for basically a week in the fridge, as opposed to 3 days just sitting in a really crappy plastic bag. Okay? Just like this. That's it, that's how easy it is. Do this as soon as you get home from the supermarket or whenever you actually feel like it, and you will have fresh herbs ready whenever you need it. It's actually just the best. Okay, now let's prep them. So we have to do two preparations of it. Some of it has to be super finely minced for the garnish, and for the rice itself. And some of it is going to be in some bigger pieces that we'll have for the garnish. Super fine pieces for the rice so it evenly incorporates. First step, I always do, I like to take it off of the stem because it's just nice to do. I don't like the texture of the stem too much, even though it has flavor with it. Oh, I just did the opposite thing. I was not supposed to put it in there like that. Okay. Just get the leaves off. You don't have to be super crazy about it. You can leave some of the smaller stems. Just like this. Just going through all the cilantro, and I do this all the time on stream. I really love working with herbs. Adds just so much character and so much freshness to a dish, especially if you take care of it like this, okay? How are we doing today? I'm gonna need you guys, chat, I'm gonna need you guys to keep me entertained a little bit more than usual because I missed time shit again for the 30th time. It seems like my pressure cooker is struggling to build pressure. I wonder if the rubber gasket inside is okay. Might be a little malfunction. Why are we releasing pressure right now? I thought we were supposed to build it. Oh, there you go. Now you're stuck in there. Good boy. We built the seal. Now it's just good to go now. That took a while. That took a lot longer than I would have liked it to. I'm a little worried about that. Gotta check on the machine, make sure she's okay. I could have actually maybe just melted the ice cubes. That would have made my life easier. Okay. Just going through these one last time, getting rid of all these little stems. Don't have to get super crazy about it, but just get the big ones out. Okay. What do I enjoy doing in my spare time? Well, I do cook a lot. I have been working a lot, right? Because in between commentary and cooking, I don't have that much free time. Lately, in my free time, I just play a lot of Binding of Isaac. And I do music stuff as well. I work on an iwi. Play on an iwi, excuse me. So, how do you properly store tomatoes? Good question. You will lose flavor by keeping them in the fridge, but they'll just last longer. You don't do anything crazy. I don't even like put them in a bag or anything. I just keep them exposed. I try to avoid buying too many tomatoes at once is the only thing. I try to like buy them and then use them up within like 2-3 days of buying them. It's nice not to keep them in the fridge for flavor reasons. So, cilantro. Here's what's gonna happen. Take it, bundle it up. I do also work out. That's right. I go to the gym and only work on legs. I'm a very busy guy. I'm doing music, I'm doing food, I'm doing the commentary stuff. Trying to stream 3 times a week. I'm getting a lot of stuff done. So, guys, slice it. Don't chop it. Slice it. What is happening with my pressure cooker? I am getting really annoyed. How is it still building pressure this whole time? Today might just be a long stream. Maybe I needed more liquid? It would have told me if that was the case. So, slice it through. Now this is the perfect coarseness. Okay. This is going to be for the garnish, that I want it to be this coarse. And then for the cilantro that's actually going within the rice, I want this to really, really evenly integrate. So we'll slice this through a couple more times. Get as much of it out. Okay, it's built its pressure, it's done its thing. We'll probably just end up doing an instant pressure release after the 45 minutes. The bones should come off clean. This might be our longest stream yet, just because of this. Great. Yes, I do. For the home, I love Epicurean cutting boards. That's what this is. Fuck all other types of wood. In a home setting, an Epicurean board is really nice because it doesn't warp and it's really nice in the dishwasher and holds up really well. And they're gentle enough on your knives. Otherwise, what I would really like, I would love to get a Japanese high soft cutting board, which is super, super gentle and good on your knives. In general, wooden cutting boards will always never be the best on your knives. They'll never be super gentle. Okay? I've been talked out of getting a butcher block for the home setting. These Epicurean boards have done their job. The next investment for home would be to get high soft knives. Yeah, don't get bamboo, don't do any of that other stuff. You can get a butcher block if you really want to maintain it, and it's nice to have and they look really pretty. It's a composite wood. It's a blend of woods. It's pretty fancy stuff. It's pretty cool. I like it a lot. Okay, so in a little bowl, we're going to go ahead and put this cilantro. This is going to be for the rice that we'll end up folding in. Just like so. Not really. Not really. It's called just Epicurean. That's the type. That's what it's called. So yeah, wooden cutting boards, they will split and stuff and they'll do all that. To me, in a home setting, this is the best kind of wooden cutting board to have. And if it's gonna be a plastic one, you gotta get a high soft. But those are not dishwasher safe, which is pretty important to keep in mind. Okay, so that's been done. And now we'll go ahead and juice up the limes in here as well. All of this is gonna just get added to the rice, okay? Once that's done cooking, it's gonna get folded in really nicely. We got 2 limes, I think that should be enough. In fact, I might just do 1.5 and keep this for garnish, right? We'll just cut this up into garnish pieces. Perfect. Half of it like that. Cut this in half as well. I'm gonna get my gloves on for when I juice it, so I don't have to destroy my poor eczema hands, my poor dainty, petite, feminine eczema hands. I'm very upset with how long the pressure took to build. I'm gonna have to check on the gasket next time. I was not originally planning on it, no. But now that you've just mentioned it, that might just actually be a good idea. Thanks for the suggestion. I was thinking about it. And that's like a little bit a-traditional for like when people do like cilantro lime rice, right? But maybe, you know what? I don't think we'll actually zest both of them. We'll just zest one. And the reason I'm doing that is because I feel like it can get very easily overpowering. Oh man, I'm trying to take my zester out of my knife case, and it's pretty stuck in there. Okay, come on. Got it out. Nice. Good idea. Good suggestion. Thank you. It would have been a lot easier for me to do that before I actually cut them in half. But it'll just add a very nice, pleasant aroma to everything. Pro knife sets? Okay, don't buy a knife set. Number 1 rule, do not buy a knife set under any circumstances. You're going to get kinds of knives that you do not need. I'm a knife maximalist, and I'm saying that. I love having knives for different purposes. Do not buy a knife set. For the 10 knives that you can invest in a better 1 or 2 knives. To me, the most important knives to have in priority, it would be a chef's knife, a petty knife, and a paring knife. And the paring knife is still like pretty niche and specific depending on what you're doing. Get a nice petty knife for yourself, okay? If you're talking about cheap brands, everybody's always talked about Victorinox. It can be anyone with that same grade of steel, basically. But I would never buy a set, never. Build your collection individually, okay? So, this is just going to get nicely zested over the top. Thank you for the suggestion, Exiled. It's also good to see you. Just like so. It's the same reason why I don't necessarily get like pan and pot collections. Hello. Just like that, nice and simple. Oh, having a good microplane that's really sharp is the best. Yeah, or you know what, even better, petty knives. I find that the shape is really, really nice. I really like a petty knife. That's my favorite. But yes, a chef's knife and a petty knife. That's my duo. That's my double. It does everything I need it to. You don't want to go too much into the white, of course, because that's how you get the pith. That's how you get like all of the bitter stuff. So we're going nice and gentle all the way around it. Just like that. And I'm not going to do too much more. I think it would be too aromatic with the 1.5 limes zested in there. Okay. Great. That's all been done. And now let's juice this bad boy. Santoku knife, yes. So, I mean, a chef's knife is also like a general classification, right? Because there's some different shapes and sizes and variations within Western chef's knives as well. I don't love Santoku knives. I don't. I prefer a traditional, like Western shape, or I prefer gyutos, right? That's what this is called. This is a gyuto. So I prefer that. Okay, 1. And guys, once again, we're doing sort of the like Asian methodology, specifically like the East Asian methodology when we're making the rice, which is we're not necessarily seasoning the rice, right? And a bunch of other cultures, sure, the rice gets seasoned and salted all the time, but the rice is an intentionally bland component okay, to contrast the super flavorful, spicy, and salty chili that we'll have. So it's an intentional omission of the salt. Juice that in. Let's get that last one. Ugh. My hands are not good at this. This is maybe one of my least favorite kitchen jobs. I hate having to juice things. Having a juicer would be really nice, like a handheld, like little press. In and out, nice and done. But these are also not super juicy limes, which is fine. For the amount of rice that we're doing, it'll be more than enough. Oh yeah, super aromatic because of the lime zest that we added. All the juice, all the cilantro as well. A little flesh got in there, it's not that big of a deal. Poke some holes in it, see if we get any more juice out of it that way. It seems to be done. Okay, not the juiciest limes in the world, but it got the job done, I suppose. So, let's go ahead and set that aside. We have a garnish plate done. I don't think we'll actually need a cutting board for anything else besides maybe shredding the meat. So I'm not gonna do away with it quite yet, but I'm just gonna go ahead and do away with my zester and my knife. Meat has about 38 minutes left on it, and then we'll do a quick pressure release. So this is gonna be the garnishes, the cilantro, the lime, and the onions. And this is going to get all folded into the rice. And keep it really aromatic, but we're not salting the rice by any means at this stage either. Let's go ahead and wipe down our station. Get all those little bits off of my nice table here. And I can actually just do that off camera. Hi, welcome back. Next step is gonna be us actually blending the tomatoes. And I think we'll cook it down a little bit. We'll blend it up, we'll cook it down in the Dutch oven itself. And we'll also add in a splash of soy sauce. Not a noticeable amount of soy sauce once we do add in the rest of the chili ingredients, but just to give it some more oomph. Okay, just to give it a little bit of extra meatiness. So, that all gets put away. Let's go ahead and work on blending up the tomatoes. So, once again, guys, as you might remember, we charred it. We got it really, really beautifully roasted. We got it really nice and smoky. Let's go in here. We're going to put the tomatoes into this nice little vessel that we have. We can actually maybe only do like 3 at a time, and then we'll dump it out. Something like that. And first thing we're gonna have to do, guys, anytime you use an immersion blender, the most important step is the initial smush. If you blended this straight up, it's just going to splash all over the place. So you really need to smush it down. It'll make your life a lot easier. Okay? Just like this. And now it won't splash. Whoa. There she is. Get a nice little puree out of it, and we'll dump it into the Dutch oven. Hello. Lovely to see you. Hope you're having a beautiful day today. Blend up all the tomatoes. Get a nice smooth puree. And we'll go ahead and dump this into the Dutch oven. And guys, we're keeping the skin on. The skin, once blended up, it really does a pretty good job, in my mind, of thickening up sauces and stews. Why, thank you. It's very sweet of you. It has been going good. We're just a little bit weird on time again. We might be down. We might have a little bit of extra downtime, but that's become pretty normal for the Daramgar streams. How's your day been? Okay, and I'm gonna go ahead and just pour this into the Dutch oven that we have. And I'm gonna get started on the next batch. Tomatoes going in. Perfect. Woof. We've done a lot. We've had a lot of different little things to do, a bunch of little tasks. And so the order of operations as follows. Once the pressure cooker is done, we'll go ahead and we'll pull the meat out. We'll shred it up. We'll take all the liquid. We'll make sure that it gets really nice and thick on the stove as needed. And we'll add in and finish it with the beans and the oregano. The oregano I like to add last so it doesn't get cooked to death. And the beans we add last so the beans don't overcook. The beans are going to do a really good job of bringing it all together and keeping it nice and thick. We'll see how much fat we also have at the end of it, because we don't want a chili that's too greasy. We want it to have a nice lusciousness to it. Right? We want it to be nice and fatty, nice and unctuous. Right? But we don't want it by any means to be like greasy. And even if it is, that's what the rice is there for, right? The rice is able to soak it all up. It's able to do a good job with it all. So, once again, we take it, we smush all of the tomatoes down before we go in with the immersion blender. I might have gone in too aggressively that time. That should be fine. These tomatoes are really, really wet. I should have done plum tomatoes, but these were the tomatoes I saw at the store, and thus we'll have to cook it down to get rid of all that excess liquid. Perfect. Look at that. Okay. That looks good. We'll go ahead and we'll pull this out now. We no longer need our immersion blender. It has done an excellent job for us today. Has done everything that we have asked it to do. And I'm gonna go ahead and get the stove set up for us in the meantime. Get the sheet tray out of the way, we have no more use for it. Get this Dutch oven on. And we'll head over to the stove, my friends. Where is it at? Great. So, pour in all of the tomato puree that we just made. We're gonna have to cook all that out. Also, thank you so much for the gifted sub to Purely. We really appreciate it. Very sweet of you. 3-month gifted sub, nonetheless, which is pretty crazy. I feel like it's the same guy that's been giving the 3-month gifted every single time, but still, very sweet of you. Thank you very much. Okay. So, tomatoes on now. I feel like I know who it is. Tomatoes have been put on. We can just go ahead and cook this down. We'll do a splash of soy sauce in there. We can also just make the rice in advance too, which would be nice. Little tiny splash of soy sauce again. Not for it to be necessarily noticeable in flavor, but it will be noticeable in flavor at this point. This is just to give it some more oomph. Okay? And we'll do a nice sprinkle of MSG as well. Where's my MSG container? Ah, there she is. Nice sprinkle of MSG. Oh God, I forgot that people recognize you. That's so fucking funny. That's hilarious, actually. All right, a bunch of MSG. And then we'll go ahead and cook all this stuff down. Grab another wooden spoon for our use and our convenience. Do I have a bigger one? Yeah, that should do. And we'll go ahead and we'll also scrape down the sides, okay? And incorporate all of that back in. We're all using just the same Dutch oven that we started with. This has the soy sauce now. This has the meat in. This has all like the spices from the sides as well. And then we'll be cooking down the rest of the chili back in here. But I just want to get rid of some of the excess tomato water while we got it. Get all that spread around nice and evenly. Clean up the pot a bit. And again, the tomatoes are not a main component of the chili by any means, right? They're just there to give it a little bit of extra flavor. We want to reduce it down as much as possible, and they'll also really, really help to thicken the chili, which is going to be nice. We're not getting a lot of fresh tomato flavor because we're cooking it down into a sauce. That's fine by me. I have actually no issue with that at all. Okay, get that back in there. We're basically just cleaning up our station as we're going. We're gonna cook down the sauce. It's not gonna splash too much because we have really nice high sides, and we'll keep the heat down to like a medium low, something like that. It would have been also nice for me to have cheese. It is quite nice to have a cheese with your chili, right? Like a nice shredded cheddar cheese, or basically the Mexican equivalent, which is I think queso chihuahua. I think so. I'm pretty sure those are kind of the same thing in terms of technique. and the taste. The chili has about 30 more minutes on it before we'll kill the heat on that bad boy, and we'll shred it up. And then into the tomatoes. Once that's reduced, we'll add in the beans. It'll thicken everything. It'll keep our lovely little chili together and keep it all well and swell, in fact. Okay. That has been the majority of the cooking that we've needed to do, actually. With 30 minutes to spare, which does kind of... that's really tasty. Ooh, with the soy sauce in there too. Even as it is, it's nice. Cannot cook with metal. That's right. Only wooden tools for your enamel Dutch oven, guys. Okay, I'm trying to figure out what to do with the rest of my time right now. We have 30 minutes that we need to kill her, specifically 28. We'll cook down the sauce, of course. We've prepped everything that we've realistically needed to. Staying nice and hydrated today. I guess I could also just prep the bowl that we'll use in advance, huh? Just gonna have it all put into this. That's where I'm gonna take the meat out. I'm still gonna maybe need that as well. Sweet. The tomato sauce, you do wanna make sure the heat is not too high. Otherwise, it does tend to burn around the sides. We don't want it to sploosh up too much, right? We don't want it to splash up and make a mess all over the place. Just keep that thing going. Really tasty, I have to say. I have no idea what System Shock is. Actually, no, I have heard about it. I think I've had somebody tell me about System Shock before. What brand of MSG do you use? I think I'm using the Aji one, right? I forgot the exact name of it. But I'm pretty sure that's the one that I have, and that's the one that I'm using. I'm curious if the brand of it actually has any implications aside from the granule size and the crystalline structure. But what's also pretty cool about MSG that not a lot of people know, I think America's Test Kitchen, specifically Dan, made a video about it, where MSG is only like one piece of the puzzle, and there's another amino acid, there's another little protein extract that goes super well alongside MSG in cooking. I don't know too much about it. I should maybe try to get my hands on it, if I can help it. So, tomatoes are going. This is kind of the heat that I'm looking for, right? Scraping down the sides, getting it all back in there, getting it all incorporated. Smells great. We can also probably get a start on the rice as well. So guys, whenever we're cooking stovetop rice, the idea is bring it up to a boil, drop to a simmer, cover it, and let it go for 15 minutes. Don't touch it, don't stir it, don't do anything. We could give it a little stir now though. So let's go over here. Hi. The rice has officially soaked for around 30 minutes or so. Take your hand, make a nice little claw, go around it, make sure you're evenly distributing it, shake it all around if possible. It does. I wonder if it still does. I think that's a thing that people like still say, but I feel like society is now, we're already like 10 years into saying MSG gets like a bad rap, right? We're looking to basically incorporate it and move it around so that the rice water runs through it all pretty evenly. And we don't get any buildups of uncooked rice. Okay, that looks good. Once again, guys, it's soaked up a lot of the water that we needed for it. The rest of it is going to be for the evaporation and for the ideal texture that we want. It's okay, tea tree. That's all right. You're still going to see the process of us making the chili properly, you know? Because the chili's in the pressure cooker for about another 25 minutes, which isn't too long. We can be patient. And then we'll add it into the Dutch oven. So, medium heat on the rice. We're not stirring it anymore at this point. We're going to bring it up to a boil, drop to a simmer. Yes. Well, that was many years ago, right? That was, I don't know, 20 years ago at this point, 30 years ago. But I just feel like there's a very recent push in like the content world of things, and especially like on cooking shows, where they've started going against that. So I feel like that's already been happening actively for the last 10 years, right? The destigmatization of MSG. And that's why it's not nearly as edgy of a take as it used to be. Cooking all the tomatoes down, my friends. We're not using any tomato paste in the chili, even if it would give it some good oomph. I don't want this chili to taste profoundly of tomatoes. I do see that too. I think that's still like old, unupdated branding, right? You see that more than anything with like suburban like Chinese takeout places where they list it on the menu. Low fat and no MSG. Some shit like that. Okay, sweet. Rice is going. Once again, it's soaked up. The high is soaked up for 30 minutes. Yes, absolutely. I mean, that was like the original motivation behind it. No, but let me explain to you what happened. First of all, people do this thing where they completely take Chinese food out of its context. Especially with the way that white people demonize carbohydrates, right? And low-carb diets and Atkins, they were all over the place for quite a long time at this point. So, what they would do, they would go ahead and they would eat a shit ton of Chinese food without any rice at all. They would eat like a bunch of like oil at once without like a bowl of rice to go alongside with it, without really understanding, okay, that rice-based dishes are about eating a bowl of rice with everything else going on top of it. That is what the point of dishes are. I have a feeling that everybody that ever said that they get a headache from eating Chinese food just ate an entire thing of like a dish that's meant to be shared, like a chicken and broccoli that you get, right? And ate it straight without eating any rice or something. That's what I would bet happened. Aside from just, plain old racism, which could be a pretty good factor in that as well. When you're eating something that's just straight sauce, right? When it's just like a straight, like fat-based sauce. Really, really salty like that too, right? Super salty food. Without like any plain rice to go alongside with it. You're just not gonna feel good. You'll just feel heavy no matter what it is, right? So that's just my very strong sneaking suspicion of what happened there. Yeah, it's like eating a bunch of pepperoni. You're absolutely right? It doesn't have the base of it. It doesn't have the staple base. It doesn't have the carb base, which is pretty essential. Okay, just moisturizing my paws. I'm doing that really often now. Okay. Guys, eczema is no fun. I have to like do this every single time I wash my hands with anything now. So, the rice is about to be at a boil. The sauce is cooking down really nicely, scraping down the sides because that's where all of the roasted sauce is going to just accumulate. It's gonna get nice and thick. Beautiful. Really tasty too. Okay, the rice is at a boil. We go ahead, we drop that heat to a simmer, super low heat now. The higher the heat, the more scorched it's going to be at the bottom. 15 minutes undisturbed. Then we take it off the heat and then we mix it through. I say pause all the time. Can we call you chef? Yes, please. In fact, I encourage people to call me chef. Yes. Well, that might also just be like a southern food thing too, right? Because southern food is always like considered very salty and stuff. But yes, absolutely. Yeah, chef. Great. Fantastic. Lovely to hear it, Luna. Oh God, that guy keeps messaging me. Oh, that sucks. I would like for him to stop messaging me. Oh well. Oh, I got rid of that thing. I got rid of it. That thing was gone. That was enough. It was cringe. Have I watched the bill? Yes, I did. I was watching with my ex, and we watched a little bit after and stuff. We never got to finish it though. I should see how she's doing. I have eczema as well. It's a pain. It is a pain. It sucks. Could one consider chef a pronoun? No, because you're using it as an honorific, not a pronoun, right? You're using it as a thing. Also, hello, welcome. Slouching Liger hiding wagon. Welcome. Is it though? It's weird because pronouns don't really get used in the second person very often when you're directly referring to somebody, right? So that's more of like a title. Titles aren't necessarily... But there's a very good argument for the way that people used bro in a third person sense as a pronoun. That was like pretty funny. I've like seen some TikToks about it. Too much for me? Yeah. I understand the restaurant environment. Listen, I don't want to do it either. But you know what I am passionate about? I want to do private chef work. I'd love to be able to do that. That's something I'm still figuring out how to get into. My idea at the moment is just, I'm going to keep doing this and I'll find an opportunity. I'll stumble upon it, right? I'm going to get better as a cook enough. I'll advertise myself by doing this. I would love to be a private chef for some like events and stuff. But what I really do care about is food education and being able to teach people. I don't necessarily care about a restaurant environment nearly as much. That's not gratifying work to me. This is the kind of stuff that I value. So, tomatoes gently simmering away. Once again, we're scraping up the sides, getting all that back in there. We don't want any of it to burn. Okay. Oh, and it's getting really nice and thick, my friends. That is perfect. It's got the soy sauce, it has the MSG, all of that to just give it some oomph. The actual soy flavor will disappear once we add in the rest of the chili components. It's just nice to get this done in advance in this way. We're doing pretty okay on time. Everything's gonna work out. That is really tasty. Even on like a pasta, that would be lovely. But yes, I love teaching people about home cooking specifically, right? Because I think we live in a time, okay, where we have a really big issue. There is more and more of a creep of a corporate-sold convenience culture where they start selling you less that is packaged in more and more plastic for the person that's like, oh, you know, you're working so much, we're gonna go ahead and make this easier for you. Really good example for you is going to be something like HelloFresh, and why I innately fucking hate something like HelloFresh. When you are individually shipping and portioning meals like that, there is a ridiculous amount of extra plastic waste that goes into that. There is so much extra manual labor. It is a luxury. It is a luxury product. I do not like HelloFresh at all, and it gets expensive. People do not know how expensive that thing gets. Second of all, it doesn't teach you technique, it doesn't teach you theory at all. You're sticking to a very hard recipe, which is not how I teach people how to cook. I don't teach people how to cook by recipe, I teach them how to cook by feel. Okay, I teach them how to cook by feel and how to build an understanding and how to build technique so they can then repurpose it into a lot of other things. HelloFresh doesn't build that for you, okay? I don't like it. I really don't like it. It sells you the idea that cooking is the super time-consuming chore, and we're gonna make it easier for you by not making you grocery shop or whatever, and you're spending all this money, and there's all this extra plastic waste, and you're not developing. And there's simple, quick meals that you don't need that for. You don't need it, okay? I strongly believe in accessibility, and let me tell you some shit right now. There is this argument. Anytime somebody critiques things like HelloFresh, anytime somebody critiques things like prepackaged, like cut up vegetables in a supermarket, the first thing that people always argue, okay, is about the accessibility that this offers for people with disabilities that would not otherwise be able to do this. And that is something I very strongly want to support and help out. But however, this is something that corporations also sell to justify the existence of their own products, okay? It feels a little neo-lib for me, is what it feels like. I do strongly believe in accessibility. And for that reason, it's why I believe, for example, at supermarkets, instead of prepackaged plastic onions that have been sitting there for days on end, getting mushy and wet, there should be things like a vegetable counter that, free of charge, they'll go ahead and put an onion through a press and give you freshly chopped onions that you can then put into whatever container. You'll get fresher things that way, and it will be packaged in a way that probably ideally wouldn't be plastic. Okay, I strongly believe in accessibility. I do not believe that accessibility has to stop at being everything covered in plastic, okay? There's potential and there's future, and I do not blame consumers for that, but rather I blame corporations and the forces behind it for offering that or not offering that. I would love to see a vegetable counter at supermarkets for this kind of thing. They do, yes, disabled people deserve fresh fruit, they deserve all these other things, but the solution, okay, the solution shouldn't be a million prepackaged things that have been sitting there for days. There should be a fresh vegetable counter at supermarkets, and they give it to you in a glass jar or something. That is what I would love to see. That is what I would ideally love to see. And so, I am not saying that pre-chopped vegetables have no place, right? At all. I really, really strongly believe in the importance of accessibility, but we do not currently have the systems in place to be able to do it in a way that is nicer to the environment. And in addition to that, the majority of people that then go on to use it, not that people have to prove that they're worthy of using pre-chopped ingredients, they're not learning. The people that don't necessarily need this are not learning. So, that is a huge obstacle, isn't it? And so that's what I would like to see. I feel like a fresh vegetable counter would just fix this kind of problem that I've described. But the idea that people don't deserve, pre-cut things, or that disabled people don't deserve fresh food, of course they do. But there just has to be a better way to do it, and it's not up to them to figure it out, okay? It shouldn't be up to them to figure it out. There should be the existing systems in place. And that's what I would love to develop in the future. I would love to be able to have a supermarket that does something like that. To have a deli section where there is no imported, pre-packaged plastic things. No, I don't even know like the brands of deli meat. Everything would just be sliced to order. All the meats, all the cheeses, all of it sliced to order and wrapped in butcher paper, okay? And never any pre-packaged plastic cold cuts. None of that. None of that at all. And you'd be able to go there, and then, you want to get your cheese, right? It's like a deli counter. You can ask for it grated, you can ask for it shredded, you can ask for it sliced, or you can get whole chunks of it. Okay? But I do not think that delis should have the option to get pre-shredded cheese that comes in like a shitty like Kraft bag filled with anti-clumping agents. I don't think there should be, pre-sliced meats. And here's the issue why. Here's the issue. When you slice something, when you start chopping it, when you start shredding it, that's what we call destructive prep, or I call it that. They become more at risk of spoiling, okay? Because they've been done in advance. So here's what happens. People want to get pre-shredded this, people want to get pre-sliced that. And then all of a sudden, companies start packaging it and preserving it with a lot of other things to be able to keep it fresh in that destroyed state. Instead of delis always having the ability, okay, to just give you on-demand sliced meat, and especially things like shredded cheese on demand. That's what I would love to see. So that you don't have to worry about keeping it fresh if they're all kept intact up until the customer needs it. And you can get as much of it as you want. You're not forced to buy massive bags. You can get a quarter of a pound. Deli counters already exist, but I'm saying there shouldn't be a deli counter and pre-sliced, packaged, branded meat in the same thing. That just doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. Tomatoes have been beautifully simmering along, getting really, really nice, intense in their flavor and color. Getting nice and thick for when we add in the rest of the chili components. We have the vegetables, the jalapeno, the bell pepper, the onions, right? All that cooking down in the homemade chicken stock. The meat was beautifully seared. We have the homemade toasted spices. It's great. Hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome. Wait, what does it say? But yeah, sorry that I went off on like a little tangent about that. It's something that I've thought about a lot. And I think I would love to just have my own supermarket. That's what I want. Minimal branded goods, everything just together. I love whole dried chilies, so do I. Willow, welcome, welcome. Yeah, that's it. Hi, Willow. It's lovely to see you. Hello, hello. But yes, that's what I would like. I'd love to have a supermarket devoid of any branded goods. Things not sold in plastic as much as reasonably possible. Okay, here's another example. The idea of individually plastic wrapped dried beans, right? The pound of it sold in plastic is ridiculous to me because it's shelf stable even without that necessarily. And that's not something that you eat raw, so you're not really worried about the cross-contamination of it, but that should be exclusively sold in buckets and then you just scoop up as much as you need. And of course, that's a thing that currently happens now, right? Where there's a lot of wholesale supermarkets or ones where they don't individually wrap stuff, but they're so expensive. They're so expensive. They're not for the common person, they're for tech workers with too much money that want to feel good about themselves, is my issue. And there has to be a better solution. There has to be. From the Spanish market instead of Walmart, and they are hella cheaper. Oh, absolutely. Here's another example. Let me show you something right now. Ready? I'm going to show you something. This has been in my pantry for however long, and I don't use it because I just use whole coriander. This, the idea of organic spices. They sell you in a little glass jar organic spices 5 times the cost of regular, normal ground coriander. 5 times the cost. Getting almost anything like that in a Western supermarket, you get ridiculously overcharged. Ridiculously. Grains especially. God, it makes me so mad. You get little Western branded like Asian ingredients like soy sauce and fish sauce, right? And they're not, you don't necessarily know the brand, and it's so difficult to actually cook food of the culture that it's pertaining to without that culture's branded soy sauce and fish sauce, right? Ugh. Yes, well, we were talking about that. Individually wrapped produce. But that should not happen in advance, and supermarkets should have deli counters or vegetable counters for produce, where they chop things and they put it into a glass container, and then maybe a return system where you get a deposit back on a glass container. Okay, that's what should happen. That's what should happen. That's why I'm saying I'm a very big advocate of accessibility, but it has to be better than what we currently have. And besides, you're also getting inferior product quality that way, because it's sitting there sometimes a day or two in advance, and because it's destructive prep, it goes bad sooner, and it's sitting there and it gets wet, and it doesn't saute as easily, for instance. And thus, what I would like to see is a produce counter, is a vegetable counter where they do it for you, where they have machines that do it for you and they just press it for you, or if it's something a little bit more intricate, they'll just chop it up. You pay for the cost of the whole produce, and then you just give it to the counter and they do it. That's it. It would indeed. That's what I would have in my ideal supermarket. That's what I would have. Okay, the tomatoes cooking down like splendidly, right? Getting nice and thick. The rice is almost done as well. It has about 2 minutes on it. So the rice, we'll take off the heat and we'll fold in all of the cilantro and lime juice that we have dedicated for it. That is getting really, really intense. Really nice. And the pressure cooker has about 6 minutes on it, guys. Congrats. We've killed a lot of time. Once the pressure cooker is done, we'll take all the stuff out. We'll cook it all down here. We'll add the beans. It'll be good stuff. So let's get our station ready for the cilantro lime rice. I'm going to go ahead and kill the kitchen timer. I have no more use for that. In fact, what I'm actually just going to do it on this. Huh, that'd be pretty good. Okay, my friends, let's head over here. So, guys, really important. Once you're done making rice, once it's done, it's 15 minutes of cooking. It's really, really important. Ooh, that's hot. Ow. You have to mix it through and fold in the rice and then let it sit and steam for about 5 minutes. In this case, we're also going to be folding through our cilantro and our lime juice. All of it going into the pot now. And the final steaming is going to take anywhere from 5 to 10 minutes. It's going to keep its heat really, really nicely. Okay? Just take all that, mix it through. This is the Haiga rice. Super aromatic. And look at this, guys. Perfect stovetop rice. That is what a perfect stovetop rice looks like. And I've hit peak consistency. You see that? It's not mushy. It's not gloopy. It's not a mess. It's perfect. This is the way it was intended to be the whole time. Look at that. Fold all of that lime juice through because you don't want pockets that are too acidic. Right? Get in there. Get it done. Do what you got to do. And we're just going to go ahead and let this chill out until we're ready to eat it. Look at that. In that case, use whatever herb you want. You can do green onions. You can do some parsley. You don't have to use any herb at all. But look at this. Look at this perfect rice consistency, huh? Perfect. Not mushy. Not too soft. Not too granular. This is going to be an excellent base for when we put in the chili. Perfect. Not too acidic either. Sometimes when you make cilantro lime rice, the lime juice is too acidic. Okay, let's head back to the stove. I'm just gonna have this chill out until we're ready to eat it. Okay? Great. The tomato sauce is now boiling a little too aggressively. We're gonna have to stir it up to make sure that none of it is actually burning or anything. But it's getting really nice and thick, and that's what I wanted to achieve when we began the tomato sauce journey. Okay? I wanted to get rid of the raw taste. I wanted to get rid of all that excess liquid, and we're getting it really nice and thick now. Has a splash of soy sauce, a splash of MSG, just a little bit of extra flavor and oomph, and it's also cleaning up the Dutch oven as it goes. Have I ever used calamansi instead of lime? I have not. I don't actually have calamansi available to me usually. You gotta watch it. Low, medium heat, trust me. You gotta watch it. You just gotta watch it. Something like this, you gotta watch it, especially once it starts getting that thick. That's when it becomes risky to that. And once it starts splashing like that, you have to go at a lower heat and stir it a little bit more often. But this is basically where I want it to be. Guys, remember, we put the tomatoes under the broiler. We burnt the hell out of the skin. Right, we got nice and smoky. Also, Raging Waffle, lovely to see you. Next stream is going to be Wednesday at 6 p.m. Eastern time. So please stop by if you're able to. Also, is that Kayla Miles? I didn't realize that was you. Hello, hello. We burnt the hell out of the skin under the broiler. We blended it up, and now we're letting it go and do its thing. The pressure cooker has 3 more minutes left on the clock. We'll do an instant pressure release. It's been pressure cooking on high for 45 minutes. Everything should be tender enough that the bones come out. That's what we're looking for. Okay. A nice little taste of that. Excellent. Excellent. We got rid of the raw taste of tomato. Has a lot of oomph now. That is good. That, my friends, is good stuff. And the chili is almost ready to go to the rest of the chili. You got to keep yourself busy. You got to know when's your passive and active time. You have to know what can be watched, what can be babied, and what can't. That's really the challenge of cooking. I get very impatient myself. Guys, the chili, it had the guajillo peppers, the guajillo chili, excuse me. It had the olive balls, it had the anchos. No chili powder to be found. We toasted our own spices. We did the cumin, the coriander, the black peppercorns, ground it all up. We fried off in the rendered beef fat because we had short ribs. We had a big hunk of chuck and short ribs. We didn't do ground meat. We're braising it and we're gonna shred it into the chili. And in there we cooked the jalapenos and the bell pepper and the onions and the garlic. We made that chili paste. It is full of flavor. It is absolutely full of flavor. And I'm really excited to finally get done with the final process, right? So the process is gonna be as follows. We'll analyze how much fat it has at the top. If it's too much, we'll have to strain some out. We're going to add all the liquid. We're going to debone all of the meat. Right? Pluck it off the bones, shred it up, dunk it back in there, and reduce it till it gets a consistency that we want. And of course, add in the beans at the end. It's gonna be the final thickening agent for our chili. My friends, I think I can now comfortably say it's done. I'm gonna release the pressure. I'm excited. I'm really excited. We're gonna keep this on a low heat because we're about to get busy. I have not. I have not. I do not own it. And now's a good time to go in with the oregano, by the way. Not too much, just a little bit. Okay. Pretty sweet. Looking good. Okay, pressure cooker is about to be done releasing all that pressure that was built up. I'm excited. I should get this station ready though. So what needs to happen now, we're going to set up a station where we shred the meat, where we get rid of all of the excess stuff that we don't need. It's gonna be good. My waste bowl should be ready. Oh, guys, it smells so good. Now the smell has hit the kitchen. Oh, that is great. Oh, I'm really excited about it. The rice is steaming, staying nice and warm. The smell of the chili has now perfumed and permeated the entire kitchen. Keeping the tomatoes nice and warm. That has reached a good texture for us. Just getting my stuff together. I don't really play that many games. I'm not that much of a gamer. I just play a lot of Binding of Isaac. Basically, I have a few games that I've dedicated ridiculous amounts of time of my life into. Is what kind of happens. So, my friends, before we start doing something, of course, we have to get our station ready. Stay nice and organized. So here's what's going to happen. We're going to take the meat out of the pressure cooker. We're going to put it onto this plate. Then we're going to debone it, put the bones into this one right here. This is a waste bowl because we have no more use for it. Put all the meat here, and then we'll figure out how do we actually shred it. So first step is going to be actually retrieving the schmeat. That's going to be the, step number 1. The spoon I do not need anymore, I think. And then we'll figure out where we're actually shredding it. I'm excited. Okay, the pressure has now been released. We're going to give the tomatoes another stir as well, so it doesn't burn in the time that we're doing all of our other stuff. Keeping it nice and slow. The sauce has reached the kind of thickness that I want from it, right? Not too watery. And really tasty at this stage. As it is, that's just a really nice Italian tomato sauce. It's really good. And then I'll also show you, I guess. I'll show you what all the stuff from the pressure cooker looks like once it comes out. How much battery do I have on my microphone? Oh, we're fine. We're chilling. Because you gotta, so guys, if you're stressed out when you're cooking, it's because you're typically either A, going too fast, or you're hungry when you cook and you're being impatient about it, or you have really not great tools. This is how we make the process as non-stressful as possible, giving yourself the time, cook before you're hungry, and don't cook as soon as you're done shopping. Cook a little bit after, let yourself chill out. My friends, the pressure has been released. I will now, oh, that chili looks good. Okay, I will now go ahead and take out this massive pot of stuff. Oh, that looks great. Look at that. Look at that. Here, in fact, let's actually just switch this over so I can show you what this looks like properly. Put that over here. I already cut that heat off. Ah. Look at this. Look at this bad boy. That, my friends, is all the culmination of the chilies that have cooked down. Everything. It is perfect. We might get rid of some of that fat. We'll figure that out in a moment. First step, we're going to now pluck out the meat. We're going to take the meat out and we're going to shred it up. Ooh, yeah, that is a nice thick layer of fat on the top. We'll see what we do about that in a moment. Okay, the meat is falling off the bone, which is exactly what we wanted from it, right? Maybe a little too much, but it's perfect. We want it intact enough that we can easily retrieve it as needed, is the goal. I think we've hit that just fine. I don't think that's an issue for us. Any longer if we cooked it, it would have been so difficult to actually fish out the bones. So grab it by the bone, pick it up. That is great. That meat's seared, it got a lot of really good color on it. It's stewed in the, well, didn't stew, it pressure cooked, right? We got it super, super tender. Look at all of this meat. All of this is gonna go into the chili, my friends. All of it. It's a lot of meat. Oh, it's getting quite heavy. It's a lot of fat on top, and I'm thinking what I should do about that. That's what I was afraid was gonna happen. All right, this is getting quite heavy. I'm gonna have to just process this and then come back to it. Okay. So, this is the braised meat that we have here in front of us. Let's go ahead and take a look. Perfect, isn't it? So all we're gonna do now, we're just gonna go through this. We're going to try and get rid of any bits of collagen. I taught myself. Well, my family cooked, right? But not like the way that I cook. So, first step, we remove the bone and we take the meat. See this entire thing of bone? All of it just comes out so easily now that we've done this whole process. Just slides out. Nice. I might even be able to just, you know what? It would be easier if I got a different utensil. If I just got a spoon So hold this down while I just press all of this out. Oh, that one's not coming out as easily. What's your deal? Got some collagen to get rid of, don't we? Next. This just seems to be straight meat. Yeah, that's just straight meat. Lovely. Perfect. All of it sliding off the bone because it's been fully cooked. Ah, look at that. Beautiful. This is going to be the slightly more challenging one. That piece of chuck we'll address in a moment's time. Just get rid of these pieces of chuck. Throw that in. Look at this. Oh, I do too. I don't love cooking with others. It's very frustrating to share a home kitchen space with another person. We're not in a professional kitchen, right? I don't have a massive kitchen. I'm in New York. I hate it when other people are in a kitchen with me at the same time. Unless I ask them to be there, then I want them there. I'm just very specific with that environment. I'll ask them to be there, and then I'll be like, okay, this is concluded. This is the only part of it that's a little too tough. Ooh, that might be tricky and annoying to deal with, won't it? This might have needed to cook a little longer because it was all by the bone, but honestly, no, it's shredding up. It's fine. All of it is fine. It's coming off with a little bit of force. Oh, it is satisfying to watch? Yeah. No, this is deboning meat. This is as satisfying as it gets in a kitchen, isn't it? Okay, let's get this bone half. I'm trying to pick at this. If this was warm enough or cold enough for me to actually go at this with gloves, that would have been ideal. I have enough meat, it's fine. We'll look at it later. The kitchen cooked shit. Okay, next step. We gotta get rid of the rest of the stuff that we have in the pressure cooker. There's no plants, they're just done. The bones have come clean off. Contrary to popular belief, there's not flavor in bones. The flavor is in the collagen and in bone marrow. Okay? There's nothing else for the bones to be done. The bones are just gonna be thrown away. Okay, I think that's almost the last of it. Holy shit, I have a lot more meat than I thought I would. I made a very meaty chili. It's gonna make a lot of food, is what this is gonna be. Trying to see, is there anything on the bottom that I might have missed? Ooh, all the vegetables dissolved. Okay, there's a piece of bone down there. Aha, that would have been annoying. So it's a good thing I'm getting rid of that now. Come on. Yeah, there you go. All the vegetables cooked down. That is good. That is just a piece of floating fat. Well, what used to be filled with fat, now just a membrane. Perfect. That is done. By the end of this, guys, you guys are going to be so sick of Pokemon music. That's all we play here on my cooking streams. Just Pokemon Lo-Fi. Okay, we'll get this off. And we got to get some of the membranes off of the short ribs, right? Because that will make for some unpleasant eating. Okay, my friends. Yeah, no, not even for broth, because it's already done its job. Trust me. Ow, shit, that just splashed back at me. That was pretty hot. Okay, so here's what's gonna happen. Here's what's gonna happen. All of this meat, this is gonna go on a board, and we're gonna slice it up, basically. We're going to try and get rid of any little like membrane or like any tissue that's not meat from it at this point, is my goal. So, let's get another plate ready for this. It'll be this one. That'll be my plate of choice. And we'll go on this cutting board. I'm going to need a fresh paper towel that's wet. Okay, wet paper towel. And we gotta go through all of this meat now. That's what needs to happen. All right, that should be stable enough to do the job. And now, it's gonna be really hot. I wonder if I'll be able to handle it with this nitrile glove. And if not, we'll have to use our tongs. That just might be a little annoying. I wish cooks were real. Yeah, we all do, don't we? Ah, my hand was wet. So now the the nitrile glove is adhering to the hand. Oh, that sucks. Okay. So here's what happens, my friends. Here's what happens now. We go in. We grab a chunk of meat. We inspect it. You see this entire thing on the back? This we want to take off. This is not going to make for necessarily the most pleasant eating experience. But it's not coming off that easily. I wonder if we can just peel the meat from it. You know what? It's tender enough. It's fine. Guys, look at this meat. It's just shredding up. It's just falling apart beautifully. Cooked in all those chilies. It is wonderful. That is wonderful. And all that's just going into the chili, my friends. Okay. The membrane is only like really, really thick over here. This might be the only place I have to take it off. That's it. The rest of it is fine. Yeah, that's more than fine. Great. All that goes on. And it's still not done yet. It still has to go into the chili. All right? So this is what we have to peel off. You see how thick this is? This part right here? That's what needs to be peeled off. So then this is all just straight tender meat. This would make for a pretty unpleasant bite if we ended up getting that. This just falls apart, requires no additional effort, essentially. Cooked short rib is just amazing, man. When it's done like this, it's really special. Okay, come back in. There's some still like bits of meat on it, right? Just like that. But the rest of this, you see this thing? It would just be floppy. This doesn't shred, it's not meat. So we're getting rid of it. Oh, I kind of tore it that time. Uh-oh. This is all fat, which is fine to integrate into this. Maybe not all of it. The fat is nice, though. I'm just snacking on it as I go. Okay, this is the part that we really need to remove, though. The meat from the rest of it. Look at that. That just comes off. That just comes off, just like that. Perfect. Yeah, this isn't fat. This is just it's just like that's just all cooked collagen. It's already dissolved in the broth and stuff. It's just a membrane. It's just chewy. It doesn't really add anything. This is now a chunk of the short rib that we had. This is perfect. Texture is quite different. The chunk of the chuck, excuse me, not the short rib. I meant to say. This we can just all put in. Look at that. Perfect, huh? Next up, this chunk right here. Take a look at that. This all needs to come off. It's gonna be a challenge with this one, but we did it anyways. Okay, that's that piece, and this is the next piece. It's a little too tender for us to take off though. Annoying. We'll just slice it off like this. And then this is the meat that we can properly chop up now. Look at that. Perfect, huh? Doesn't really matter how you chop it at this point. It's all going to break down. Okay, I need to stop eating. This all has to go into the chili. We started with a lot of meat, my friends. So, can I even take this one off? This one's gonna be a challenge. Oh, I did. Nice. Look at that. This is fine. Just the way it is. That's just a fat piece, isn't it? Yep. Oh, that's just gonna go in now. Great. Delicious. This all just shreds up. Perfect. Come on, big boy. You got this. You can come off. Yeah, there we go. We got the membrane to come off, most of it at least. This is the really, really tough and chewy one. It is still stuck on there. That is not what we want. By any means. Let's just slice it off here. And there's no meat on it, basically. That short rib is flavorful. Wow, that is great. That is actually just wonderful. Come on, big boy, you got this. You can come off. Maybe that's the way to do it. Yeah, I got the full sheet off this time. Nice. That's what it should look like. We do want a nice, smooth, chili experience, okay? We're not trying to waste anything. This is all just not that edible to begin with. Okay. If this was put in like a meat grinder, right, then it would be fine, but that's not the case with this. This is all just shredded meat. Oof, hot. That's already basically shredded. Ah! Gotta get this off now too. This I'll chop up, put it in here. There's like a little pocket of meat that I want to get out. There we go. That's it. That's fine. This is all just gonna get chopped up now. This is one of our last big pieces. Look at all the meat we got out of this thing, huh? Oh, I'm excited for you. What are you thinking about making first? What's on your mind? Okay. That's good. Perfect. Ooh. Your GF is English, so you're making something spicy for you? That's a really funny thing to say. That's a very funny sentiment. Season something with salt and any English person explodes. Well, like in cities and stuff, right? There's a lot of kitchens that are just like two induction or like electrical coils, and there's like no oven. That's becoming quite popular with really tiny apartments. It's a little difficult to navigate. Okay, my friends, guess what? We have a pile of schmeat. That's what we've got here. Right here, you seeing this? This is a pile of meat. Now, next step. We are gonna have to inspect. We're gonna have to inspect the chili that we made, and I'm looking at it, and I'm gonna tell you right now that that is a lot of excess oil that we really do not need. So, I'm going to just simply spoon that out into a different vessel. Let's go ahead and head to the stove. Okay. We're gonna go to the stove. We're gonna just put it all into this bowl. If we'll waste a little liquid, we'll waste a little. We just do not need that much fat. That's a lot of fat. It's a lot of oil on the top. A lot, in fact. The beans will do a good job of like thickening everything and bringing it all together, but this is genuinely just an unnecessary amount. All of that oil, take it off. You have nothing to do with it. If we need some, we'll just add some more later. All of that just came out of the chuck. All that coming off now. Perfect. That is a much more acceptable amount of fat now that I'm looking at it. Give it a second to just get back into place. But yeah, we have released a lot of fat. Look at this. Most of that is fat on the top. Very little of that is actual stew. And that's fine, right? We work with fatty meat. This is what happens. We're not working with lean chicken breast. This is just a natural part of life, my friends. It's a natural part of cooking. That, I think we have now sufficiently lifted enough for me to feel comfortable with adding this to this stew now. To the chili, excuse me. And again, it's all gonna still come together. It'll be fine, I promise. Let's just do the straight stove shot. Okay, my friends. So, let's give this the old switcheroo. Get this over here. Get this onto the heat now. Properly. Get that back going. And now, let's ladle in all of our chili stuff. You know what? Maybe I just pour it in. Maybe it'll be fine if I just pour it in like this. It's fine. It's fine like that. Yeah, that's great. It did the job. Sweet. That's been done. Ah, my friends, look at that chili. Look at that chili. Are you guys kidding me? That is going to be beautiful. That's still without the beans, right? The beans are going to be an essential inclusion as far as I'm concerned. And we'll also taste it for salinity. That's a pretty good texture as it is. I'm curious how the texture will thicken with the beans, and we'll just simply cook it down until we're satisfied with it. Now, the meat goes in. All the meat that we've shredded up, and it's really nice when it's shredded, right? Because it's just going to catch all of the chili in between its little grooves, in between all of its little shreds. It's going to catch all of it. That is delicious. That is actually just delicious. Wow. And then we'll go in with the beans, we'll heat it all up, we'll cook it down a little bit longer, and that will be our chili. That will be it. That will conclude the chili episode. It's a thing of beauty, isn't it? It really is. That is what a proper chili looks like. Well, not yet. It's still a little too loose, right? Still a little too much liquid. That's what the beans are for, my friends. That's what the beans are for. Beans, all going in now. Boop. I have 2 of these containers that I've made. And the beans are really just gonna bring all of it together. They're lean, they don't have any additional fat, but just the bean puree will make it really nice and thick. Okay. And then the next one, going in. Boop. And we'll mix it all through in just a moment's time. That is a huge pot of chili. Oh my God, how am I gonna eat all that? I don't totally know. We'll see. Bring it up to a boil. We'll put a lid on it for just a moment. Oof, we've just done a lot. We have actually just done a lot of work. Don't need those tongs anymore. This I'm still gonna be using. Getting all the stuff that I do not need into the dishwasher at this moment in time. Don't need this cutting board either. That shredded meat is lovely. It's actually just good. And we'll see what the salinity is like, right? The beans were salted, the tomato sauce was salted with the soy sauce. Of course, the braise was slightly salted as well. It's very important for us to gauge and balance salinity. Oh, absolutely. As a leftover, I mean, chili is, you can't get better than chili, can you? It's one of those, it's really an ideal home food because you're able to give it a lot of love at home. You're able to do it better than most restaurants that just kind of boil everything together with some shitty boiled ground meat. Oh, it does look heavy, doesn't it? But don't worry, we'll put an appropriate amount down now. I'll get the rest of my garnishes ready. We of course have to have some sour cream with this all. I no longer need my waste bowl. I can just throw all of this stuff away. All those bones, they've done their job. They've contributed a lot of flavor into the chili itself. wonder what happened. I think my gasket was actually just knocked out of place. And that's why it took so long for this thing to build up pressure. Okay. My friends, let's take a look at this chili. It's going, it's heating up. It's gonna take a second to actually get there again, but that is a thing of beauty, isn't it? We just want to heat everything back up. We want to reduce it, I think. It's a little liquidy. That is a chili. This is a proper chili. Everything was done with a lot of love, with a lot of effort, with a lot of care, with a lot of time, with a lot of patience. We didn't cut any corners on this chili, my friends. It is perfect. Look at that thing. Okay, it's still gonna need to heat back up though. I don't think we'll need this spoon any longer either. That has done its job for me. That has done its task. Like a good crewmate. I just need to get it up to a boil again, is the only thing, so we can properly reduce it on a nice high heat. Move this around for a sec. Perfect. Those are just my beans. I just spoon-fed myself. They're good. I made like a whole pound of dried pinto beans. And now I just want everything to come together. It'll take a few minutes. Have you ever spilled something good after fixing it? Oh. I've spilled a few stocks in my time. Those are always the worst because of how sticky it gets. They're the most awful to clean, as well as really, really miserable. I could have used a gravy separator, right? That's a really nice tool to have, but I didn't, and it's fine. Look at that. A thing of beauty, that is. That needs to reduce. That needs to reduce for sure. And we gotta up the salinity. That's gonna take a little bit, my friends. How we doing? We doing good, guys? We hanging out? Talk to me. Doing okay? Nice. Do I have a favorite snack? Yeah, cucumbers. I put down anybody that's ever been like on a Discord call with me, they've seen me put down like an abnormal quantity of cucumbers. Come on, buddy. You can do it. I should have started the boiling sooner. I should have done the shredded meat after I brought it to a boil. I'm just gonna set my bowl of oil over here instead and just trickle that in. Because there's still some pretty big pockets of oil that I think would be nice for me to get rid of. Not too much though. The beans will do their job in a moment's time. Don't worry about it too much. And we're not trying to have this thing be completely devoid of oil. But we don't want a greasy chili. Okay? That's all I'm trying to avoid here. Look at it go. As a big, proper, beautiful pot of chili is what that is. How hot is it? Is it heating up properly? It's getting there. I'm just being impatient, as usual. Watched pods. I love raw bell peppers. Love them. Raw tomatoes, raw cucumbers. I eat raw cabbage all the time. Those are all just my favorite snacks. They all get the job done for me. So, guys, I'm sorry about how long I'm like not managing my passive time this stream. This is maybe the longest stream we've done yet. 3 hours and 20 minutes. Holy shit. Pretty long. Thank you guys for like hanging in there the whole time. Some of you guys have been here like the whole time, which is pretty cool. It's pretty sick. Something about watched pots and boiling. I would like for it to happen now. Man, I'm getting so many ads on Twitter lately. I'm an avid lettuce hater is the only thing. I am an avid lettuce hater, mostly because of its lack of nutritional value of any kind. And it's just big and it's wet. And it just occupies water and resources for other reasons. I just feel like, ecologically speaking, it's not a very efficient vegetable. That's why I'm a bit of a lettuce hater. Sorry to break it to you. Oh, look at this stuff from the bottom. You got all the beans like that. It's perfect. Just scraping up the bottom to make sure there's none of like the bean puree there. Perfect. Just letting it go, letting it do its thing, letting it evaporate as much as possible. Ah, that's so nice. I don't know, I just feel like lettuce takes up space in things. What I really don't like is salads where you have to eat like whole leaves of lettuce, and it's like, let's say it's like an acidic dressing, and you take a bite out of it, and then the acidic dressing is like smeared all over your lips, and then you get like lemon juice and vinegar all over your lips. Shredded lettuce is fine. Shredded lettuce has a place, I suppose. That's my take. That's my opinion, if you want it really that badly. But otherwise, I am a bit of a lettuce hater. Okay, I'm gonna let you guys watch that pot for a moment. I'm gonna run to the bathroom once again. Don't go anywhere, or else there will be consequences. Hi, I'm back. Gotta moisturize my hands. That's what I gotta do. Welcome back to me, Misty Guys. Alright, how's that chili boiling? Is she boiling? She's going. Yeah, look at it go. And guys, when something is that fatty on top, let me tell you, that thing is hot. It might not show it because the fat is quite literally concealing it. That thing is hot. I just want to eat, man. I really just want to eat. Let's get my sour cream out of the fridge. I might eat it now when it's still like a little bit too soupy. That'll be okay, I think. You guys won't, you guys won't kill me over that, I believe. Look at that chili. She's going. Give a nice little mix through. Check on the beans down there. Yeah, things are sticking to the bottom, which I am trying to avoid. Okay, that is why we have to mix it like this every so often. Ooh, big old chunks of meat. Also, thank you so much for the sub, Macro the Eagle. Thank you for the prime sub. Really appreciate it. Anybody who's ever made a ramen knows just like how hot like that fat on top is. It is crazy. Yeah, scrape up the stuff from the bottom. Make sure nothing down there is sticking. That is perfect. That looks so good. I'm trying to get the sour cream open, but it's really difficult because I just moisturized my hands. My paws, excuse me. You've never had chili like this? Well, here you go. This is what it's supposed to be like in my mind. It's supposed to be thicker, but it's shredded braised meat. It's with whole dried chilies. This is no joke. I wasn't able to get the plastic off of this. That's okay. Nice, some really nice sour cream. You cannot have chili without sour cream. It's pretty essential. Ooh. Come on. Guys, worst thing you can ever do is try to handle plastic goods once you've moisturized your hands. That was a mess. That was the worst process of opening sour cream that I've ever had in my life. I hated that. I hated that, hated that, hated that. It was so slippery. Okay, that chili is going. Look at it go. It's boiling away, my friends. Oh, is a relationship with a vegan? It's so over. It is so over for you. I'm so sorry to hear that. Okay. How long has it been muted? Oh no. Sorry. You guys need a yell at me button. I have no idea how that got muted again. My fault. Thanks for letting me know. Appreciate it. Okay. Pickled onions, super, super tasty. Perfect. That chili's looking great. It is actually just looking phenomenal. We really should have that cooked down for a while, but that might just actually happen off stream at this point. And I'll just give myself a nice bowl of it as it is. Well, we'll see how long we can do it now. Activating the beans. Again, we're only going to salt it at the end, okay? We're going to salt it at the end so that we know how much to add because it's going to reduce in its liquid. What's a food I've never eaten but would like to try? I don't know. I've eaten almost everything. I've eaten a ridiculous amount of things. Actually, no, you know what? Fine, fuck it. Cajun boudin. I've never had boudin. I've always wanted to, especially because I watched like a documentary about boudin. I never had a chance to eat boudin before. It's like this boiled pig and rice sausage. Very, very classic. And apparently not too common within New Orleans itself, but all the area around it. Boudin is like eaten all over the place. Or, you know, you'd also have boudin balls, right? Which is boudin that's been fried. It's been taken out of the casing and fried in balls and breaded. It's really tasty stuff, apparently. And that is something I would love to try. Oh, guys, this chili. Look at it. This is what it's supposed to be. It's all about the meat. It's all about the chilies. Okay? It's all about the meat. It's all about the chilies. It's not about tomato. It's not about a million spices. It's about really respecting it for what it's supposed to be. What you would do with pickled pig's feet, I actually don't know. I do not know what you would do with pickled pig's feet, because I know with like smoked, like pig feet, right, and smoked ham hocks, you would do like stocks and soups and just include that in dishes all the time. But I have no idea what you would do with pickled pig's feet. I wonder if you would still make like a stock with that. I don't know necessarily what the common practice is or anything. Look at that go. Look at that thing go. The rice, we'll just plate that up in the meantime. We'll just get that over to a bowl. Yeah, still nice and hot. It's got that ideal texture now. That cilantro lime rice. We'll just get that inside. Oh yeah, there she is. Perfect. Nice little helping of that to soak up all of the chili that we'll put in. That's really tasty. Nice. Really good. Ah, I just dropped it in the dishwasher. Oh no. Texture of pig's feet put me off as a kid, but I like it now. Well, there you go. I just don't know how to eat one. Like a pickled pig's foot. That is. I know how to cook with pig's feet. I've been doing that forever. Okay. Guys, look at this thing. Look at this thing. Isn't that beautiful? I think it's beautiful. Taste it for salinity. Ah, it's so hot. I make this mistake all the time. I just sip boiling liquids and then I suffer for it. The flavor of the chilies really comes out. It tastes so meaty. It tastes so beefy. The tomato isn't overpowering at all. That is perfect. That is really, really good. That is delicious, in fact. That's great. That is actually just wonderful. And you're noticing, guys, the more it's cooking down, you'd be surprised to see that the fat is actually incorporating into it. And it's not just because we strained the fat. It's because the beans are cooking down and they're just capturing everything. Okay, the beans are cooking down, they're capturing everything. To me, that's why beans are an essential inclusion in chili. It's a very big textural thing. They serve a very important purpose. You can even puree the beans if you don't want the texture of the beans in there. But it's what keeps it all together. Okay? And I think that's what's important. Oh yeah. You can tell with the way that it's like splashing now. It's getting to the texture it needs to be. We'll hit it with a bunch of salt. Because once again, the stock was unsalted, right? The chilies were unsalted with a lot of unsalted components. We'll do a couple of big pinches of that. Going in now. Mix it all the way around. Get all the roasted chili back inside. All the stuff that's drying up on the edge of the pot. Get all of that reincorporated throughout the chili. This is where it's at. And this, I think I'm just gonna have it cook down for maybe like 30 minutes. That's gonna happen off stream. I'm just gonna eat some now. That's what's gonna happen. I'm impatient. Guys, what do you think? Can we wait? Or should we eat some now? It's not at its peak flavor. It's not as concentrated as it could be, but it is still nonetheless just gonna be delicious with the way that it is. I don't love jellyfish. I've had jellyfish. Don't love it. Not my thing. It's not a texture that I am very used to. Now, okay, Jesus Christ. Okay. Ah, look at that. That is wonderful. All right, my friends, let's go ahead and spoon up a nice bowl. I think that's what we should do. Get a load of this guy, huh? Get a nice big spoon of this chili right here. Have it all go in there. That is the perfect amount. I don't need any more or less than that. My friends. Oh, yes, I did. I cooked down the garlic after I sweated the aromatics. My friends, take a look at this. Now, for the garnishes that we have, okay? It's pretty important, pretty essential. Let's try to think about the colors while we do this, right? So, here's what I'm gonna do. Start with a nice spoonful of sour cream right in the center. Oh, thank you for being here. Really appreciate it. Spoonful of sour cream right in the center. Then, let's go ahead with our raw onions. The raw onions, we'll put it on top of the chili itself for a little bit of contrast. The cilantro, we're gonna have it be on top of the rice. Is that food made halal? I mean, it's basically halal, right? I don't know if my beef that I used halal, but there really shouldn't be like any pork in it or anything. And then some of my lovely pickled onions, nice and spicy. Those are just gonna get added in a nice little bundle over here. Perfect. I wish I had some cheese. You'd always do like a little bit of shredded like cheddar cheese or something. But look at this, my friends. Look at this. That is a proper chili, if I've ever seen one. I had the whole dried chilies, the pasillas, the anchos, the arbals. Hello, Money Man Future. We have the pickled onions that we made on Friday. We have the meat that we shredded down, that we cooked down, the homemade beans, everything. Pickled eggs are fine. I don't feel any type of way about pickled eggs. I'm pretty indifferent. And the chili's still going to keep cooking down and keep accumulating more and more flavor as it goes. My friends, the cilantro lime rice, so full of flavor. Let's have a bite. It's time for us to eat. Maybe not the most visually stunning, but look at this chili. Look at that. You can see the beans, you have all the shredded meat in there. It's minimalistic, it's not too much tomato. I hate too much tomato in chili. You lose the plot that way. Let's just have a bite of it straight up. That is wonderful. Not as intense as it could be, and that's why it's cooking down on the stove now. But I was a little impatient, and I wanted a bite now. This is good stuff. Liquid is really flavorful. Beans are really nice and tender. Pickled onions, I wish I would have like chopped up a little bit because it's a little awkward to like eat them with this, but delicious. Actually, just delicious. Wait, whose type? What are you talking about? No, I have this very beautiful woman that I'm into that's gonna be visiting me in a few weeks though. I'm not into guys. Sorry, Money Man Future. I'm poly, but I'm not into guys. Look at this. Delicious. But yes, the pickled onions are basically half cooked because when you do the brine, right? When you do the actual pickling liquid with 1 cup vinegar, 1 cup water, you bring it up to a boil and then you put it over the onions when it's hot. So it takes the bite out of the onions and it gets them really nice and soft. Super good. That's a wonderful chili. The only thing is just like a little too diluted, right? And that's what all that cooking is for. Let's mix it with the rice now. Let's get a nice little ugly bowl. but that is perfect. That's what it's all about. That is a wonderful chili. I'm just scraping down the sides and stuff, making sure it's all integrated back into it, getting it really, really nice and thick on the stove. It was way too loose. But now it's just getting to where it needs to be. I'm gonna have to baby that for a little bit. This is so good. Excellent. It all just comes together. And the rice is such a perfect vehicle, right? It just soaks everything up. You get a bite of everything. Ugh, hate those. So tender. That's perfect. That is a wonderful, wonderful chili. And guys, once again, we are in the last part of the cooking stream. I'm gonna have to finish this chili off camera. Look at it now. Oh, that's getting good. Any comments, questions, concerns, anything that you want to say to me at all, this is the best time to do it. Oh, it's great. Trust me. When it's all mixed up with everything, with the rice, the cilantro lime rice, and the sour cream. Olives. What's going on here? Olives. What are we talking about? Is this bait? This is what I usually stream. I'm just a cooking streamer. It's everything I do. Maybe we'll do just chatting in the future, like once a month. That'd be fun. Would you guys watch that? If you guys are interested in it, we could do like a just chatting stream every now and then, like at my computer. Because I have the setup for it, right? That's what I used to do. But this is where my passion lies. This is what I want to be doing. Oh, that is good. Also, like the first bite of proper food, I barely had breakfast. Oh, thank you, Monson. That's very sweet. What the hell is it with olives and chili? What is going on here? What is happening? That'd be kind of cool, right? But this is what it's all about. To me, that's good. Nice. That, my friends, is delicious. Oh, this is getting so thick. This chili, this is gonna be perfect. I'm gonna serve it to my mom later. She's gonna love it. It's got two different kinds of beef. We have short rib and we have chuck both. We have the homemade chicken stock. It is, right? It is essentially. Okay, everybody. Final questions, comments, concerns, and interests. Anything that you want to say. This is your time to do it. This has also been our longest cooking stream yet, I believe. Which is really nice. It went longer than I would have liked it to. Most of that just came from how long it took for us to get things going. But things have been good. Really happy with how today went. I just want to say that I like food. That's very sweet of you. Had fun. Thank you for streaming. Oh, I'm glad to. I'm happy to provide. We're gonna go ahead and raid somebody. We're gonna go ahead and raid, I believe Rose is streaming, right? Let's do that. Let's go ahead and raid Rose. Everybody, thank you so much for being here. I'll see you guys next time, Wednesday at 3 p.m. No, 6, not 3. 6 p.m. Eastern time. We're gonna do something else. We're gonna cook more. Wednesdays, Fridays, Sundays, that's the schedule from now until forever. Thank you guys so much for being here. I'll see you guys next time. And I hope you all have a lovely, beautiful rest of your Sunday evenings. Take care. Oh God, how do I get out of here? Like this.